Here's special guest host, Larry Fedoruk.
Well, good morning and welcome to Friday and welcome to the program. My goodness, we made it to Friday and a long weekend. It is terrific. What a day. I tell you, despite the -1 temperature that we've been hovering around, minus, every time I start to hear that word on the weather in the fall, I always think, can the words wind and chill be far behind? But I don't want to get too far ahead here. That's coming inevitably, sure. But for this weekend, weather-wise, for the most part, we're going to have a pretty good weekend. We're spiking that spigot, tapping the keg at Oktoberfest in a couple hours' time, getting Willkommen Platz underway for the weekend. And I always call it tap the keg. I think for the first time ever, I heard this morning on 570 News, I heard the term spike the spigot. And I was like, that's cool. I like that. Spike the spigot. So that's happening with Stephen Page with Bare Naked Ladies. That's cool. And then just an entire weekend of Oktoberfest and the downtown Kitchener basically closed off for the Willkommen. It's fantastic. All right. So that's going on. Goodness gracious. We got Jays. You just heard on our sports, they announced the times that whoever we play, because tonight Detroit and Seattle play, right? So then that'll determine who plays the Blue Jays on Sunday. And that game will be 8 o'clock on Sunday, because I was curious about that. I wanted to plan my weekend, my Sunday especially, around when is the Jays game, And then Monday, because we get the holiday, and that's kind of cool because the Jays game should be somewhere around 4:30 or 5 o'clock. They're going to determine that time, but it's going to be right in that area, sort of earlier in the day, late afternoon instead of evening. So those are the two Jays. So we have that. Oktoberfest, Jays, decent weather. It's Thanksgiving. And also the post office is back to an extent. That's good news this morning for those who need the mail. And we've talked post office quite a few times on the show as I've been filling in for Mike Farwell this week. And we really just trying to remember that despite all their troubles, there are people who need the post still. So the fact that they're going into rotating strikes now, instead of full-on strike across the nation, means that for many of us, the mail will start to come through, initially probably in dribs and drabs here, because during any, as we know from many postal disputes in our lifetime, that the mail builds up during a postal strike, and it takes a while to get through all that and get the mail back. But that's coming back. So a lot of good news stuff. Hey, ceasefire, potential peace in the Middle East, hostages returning hopefully by Monday. Although Donald Trump did not win the Peace Prize. It's kind of Nobel week. I always keep an eye on Nobel Prize week, and physics and chemistry I pretend to try and understand. And when you get into some of those Nobel Prizes, you're like, okay, the mind boggles at what people are working on in advanced science, but it's fantastic. The chemistry one is pretty cool. These guys, 3 people got the Nobel Prize for chemistry based on something that on basically a container. And this is me trying to explain advanced science. But anyway, a container that can take inordinate amounts of polluted air for its size, more than it should probably take by volume, and convert it into decent air that it can expel later. I mean, is that save the world potential in that invention? I mean, wow. All right. And then literature, and then the Peace Prize, but then the big prize, like advanced science and literature and peace, those are important. But the world runs on economics, right? So they saved the economics one for last. And I think that's coming up on the weekend or possibly Monday. But anyway, Donald Trump did not win. And I just found this out for the first time today. I did not know that when you try and semi-follow the Peace Prize process, is that if Donald Trump was in fact up for the Peace Prize, no one will know for 50 years. That's what they do. Anybody who's been up for the Peace Prize for 2025, I assume it may be like that for other Nobels as well. The process is confidential and kept so for 50 years hence, right? And then so for 50 years later, his kids, his estate, whatever, will find out, oh, he was up for the Peace, or he wasn't in 2025, but he did not get it. It went to a Maria Corina Machado. She is from Venezuela, and she fights for democracy and fair voting and things like that in Venezuela. She is kind of an opposition leader, if you will, and actually lives a lot in hiding because of the tense situation, government and otherwise, in Venezuela. So Donald Trump did not get it, but nevertheless, credit where credit is due for his role in advancing the situation in the Middle East. As we said yesterday, peace in the Middle East is quite elusive. If we can have it for at least a bit, get hostages home, give families some closure for those hostages that didn't make it, and also provide some much needed aid to people in Gaza and in the immediate region who need it, who've been suffering for weeks and weeks, months. So things I'm trying to spin positive, I guess, for a weekend that we can look to. On this show today, we got a packed show today. Oh my goodness. Love filling in on Friday because so much is always going on here on 570 News Radio. Coming up in just a few minutes' time, just after 9:15, we're going to be speaking to a professor from Concordia who's written a book about, basically about our reliance on our telephones. And it's nothing new to say that telephones, the cell phone, the smartphone, has become this friend of ours. And it's not by accident that the phones are designed for they're designed for us to rely on them. And there's several things the phone does to elicit emotions from us so that we're close to our phone. It's not just a device, it's our friend. And the book that he's written is called Needy Media. Needy Media. Isn't that interesting? How tech is personal. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes' time with our professor and author friend who's written this book, and get into sort of past the thing that we all talk about, which was we're on our phones too much. We're going to talk about that, but also kind of the why and how it's designed to do that. So that's coming up in a few minutes. Just after 9:30 this morning, we're going to talk a little bit of, this is very interesting to me. It's Fire Prevention Week, and we're going to talk about the number of battery fires in the world, but certainly locally and in Ontario. The number of battery fires that we have now, the number has increased. It's incredible. And it's basically the lithium-ion battery that you find, of course, in phones and in e-bikes and scooters and power tools and, gosh, just a lot of things. And when these things catch on fire, and sometimes they do, it is not just a simple little flare-up. You know, they can release toxic smoke. They can spark. It just suddenly it's a bigger danger and deal than just any other little pop-up fire or something that may happen, an electrical fire or something else that may happen. It's much worse. There was a story, and this is when I got super interested in the issue of lithium-ion battery fires. There was a story, and I think it was out of Toronto. It was this year, I don't say spring, early summer, nevertheless. There was a car accident, two vehicles. One of them was an electric vehicle. And the electric vehicle just flared up madly. And after that particular incident, I found out that it takes way more resources to put out a battery fire, a lithium-ion battery fire, than it does, say, just a regular car, for example. Takes way more resources. What they have to do with the battery afterwards, in this case, it was a car battery, electric car battery. They have to take that battery after they've put it out, after the fire is out. They have to take that battery, put it in a separate dumpster somewhere, a dumpster that is isolated, and then they put put the battery in the dumpster by itself, put sand in there, and you have to leave it for, I forget, 6-8 weeks, whatever it is, in case it catches fire again. Isn't that incredible? So you can't just take it and throw it in a landfill or whatever, because if it catches fire again, then you have a massive landfill fire. Like, these things are just incredible. I mean, I see people in my building with scooters and things like this, and I'm like, is that safe? Like, gee, and a lot of them are, of course. We're not saying all lithium-ion batteries have fire potential, but we're going to talk with Waterloo Fire Rescue Services coming up after 9:30 this morning about increased lithium-ion battery fires and actually some easy ways to prevent them, because they're out there. Again, not just the e-bikes and scooters, but power tools and all kinds of things have them. Also this morning, I'm thrilled to be talking to Trinity Community Table. They've been serving meals out of the Trinity Anglican Church since 1992. Hundreds upon hundreds, thousands and thousands of meals every year that they do. And they use the church facilities, but otherwise it's an entire community of volunteers that rely on donations to provide all these meals. And they're doing, of course, their annual Thanksgiving lunch coming up on Monday. So we're going to talk to Trinity Community Table coming up after 10 o'clock this morning and get the information about that. And as usual with, I don't know if it's as usual. I shouldn't say that, I guess. Trinity Community Table specifically is no questions asked. If you need a meal, just show up. And they do all these sit-down meals and also do takeout lunches, as I said, into the tens of thousands per year. It's pretty incredible work that they do, all on a volunteer basis. It's very touching. And they're going to do, again, their annual Thanksgiving luncheon in midday on Monday. So we'll get those details on that coming up this morning, just after 10:15, or just after 10 o'clock. At 10:15 this morning, we're going to talk about World Mental Health Day, which is today, and the importance of mental health. And anytime we talk about this, and gosh, I've advocated and had interviews on various talk shows and done all kinds of chats about mental health. And you know what still comes up? Incredibly? Stigma. It still comes up. And I understand it. I understand that. But when are we going to get over the stigma? Because the stigma attached to having mental health issues is what prevents people from opening up about them, from talking about them, from seeking help, whether it be with, like, our guest is going to be Tracy Elop. You may know her from Camino Wellbeing. She's the CEO, and I'm sure very familiar to listeners of 570 News Radio and anybody in the community. But you don't necessarily have to go to a place like Camino or anything like that. You just, sometimes just somebody, an acquaintance, a friend that you can lean on a little bit, but there's still that stigma. You don't want to bring it up because of what the connotations of having mental health issues. So we want to get over that a little bit, but we're also going to talk about mental health here on World Mental Health Day. Camino themselves are saying they did last year, the number of people that they had to help was up 20% from the previous year, something like that. So that is obvious that there is a need, I'm saying, and it continues. The other part of that I wanted to say is not only is there a need and an increase in Caminos, in the Camino sense of people, but this idea that times are tough. Okay, that we've seen over the last few years for various reasons. I want to say COVID is a big part of it and what we had to go through there, but I don't want to say just COVID, but COVID and everything else put together, it's tough times, and people suffer. Mike Farwell, as you know, is away. That's why I'm here. And Mike is traveling with the Rangers, but Mike always provides the coaches show during hockey season, whether he's on the road or not. And he will be talking with UC coming up after 10:30 on the coaches show. That'll be Mike Farwell having that conversation. As we know, they lost to Flint the other night. Tonight, they're in the Sioux, so back at it. The thing about hockey is there's many games, so you can't focus too much on a 3-0 loss because you're back at it a couple of days later. And tonight, and you can hear that game, of course, on 570 News Radio tonight with the Rangers in Sault Ste. Marie, and then tomorrow they're in Saginaw. But anyway, the coaches show coming up after 10:30 this morning, and at 11 o'clock, it's our Friday 4 panel. I always enjoy the Friday 4 panel. Who do we have today on the Friday 4 panel? Let me see, check my list. Jane Mitchell is here, David Marskell, Bob Verbanik, all on our Friday 4 panel discussing some of the issues of the day and of the week. As I said, jam-packed show. We're going to talk about the phone, the smartphone, our friend, our reliance on the phone, the needy media. That's a title of a book. We're going to talk to the author next here on 570 News Radio. I'm Larry Fedoruk, sitting in for Mike Farwell today. Welcome back to 570 News Radio. As I mentioned, we're going to talk about lithium-ion battery fires and the dangers therein during Fire Prevention Week here. We're going to talk to Waterloo Fire Safety coming up just after 9:30. But right now on the program, boy, this is a fascinating topic. And there's a new book out called Needy Media. Needy Media, How Tech Gets Personal. The author of the book is our guest, Assistant Professor of Communication Studies at Concordia University. Stephen Monteiro is joining us. Professor Monteiro, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
This is a fascinating topic, and I went through the article, and the book just sounds fascinating. Needy media. You've given me a new perspective here. Talk about the telephones. It's we all know we spend too much time on these phones, generally speaking. Why is that? Is it because the phone does so much besides being a phone?
Well, what I argue in the book is that we tend to focus on those things that we access through our smart devices, like our phones, but also to some extent now our smartwatches and devices like that. So we tend to focus a lot on how social media or AI chatbots or gaming, these sorts of things really are a big draw for us and make us dependent on the phones and these devices. But what I argue is that we also, to get the whole picture, we also have to look at the devices themselves and the way that the devices have been designed in ways to sort of build these kinds of intimate bonds with us, regardless of what we actually access through the devices.
That was the part that fascinated me. You're saying the phone is kind of set up to be a friend, not just a device.
Yeah, I would call it something like a companion, right? And
okay.
It has all sorts of features on it. So I'll give you a few examples. Things like face recognition locks, or the way that touch screens work, vibration alerts and sounds, geolocation, and also these different kinds of motion and optical sensors. And when you bring all these things together, what it does is it sort of produces this kind of animated device that also seems to kind of know a lot about us and how we behave, and it's able to sort of react in certain ways to the way we behave, which then gives us a sense that, oh, we're with something that's more than just a technological object or a networked object, but something that actually sort of understands our presence and feels our existence.
Right. And somebody who understands me shares my likes and gives me more of what I like. That's a companion. That's a friend.
Well, yeah, that's a big part of it, right? But then also you look at something like something as simple as like the face recognition lock that I know a lot of people have these days, right? You just pick up the phone and you turn it toward you, and it opens up for you. And then if your friend or your sibling who's next to you picks up the phone and looks at it, it doesn't do anything, right? So on the one hand, yes, it's working like a lock, like when you put in a pin or something like that. But it gives us psychologically, it gives us a sense that, oh, this device recognizes me as a friend or as a companion when it doesn't recognize other people, just in the same way that with real life friends and companions, when they see us, they light up and they behave differently than when they're looking at a stranger.
So it's designed for dependence. They're not telling us this directly, but all these technical innovations are really designed for us to depend on it, aren't they?
Yes. Well, what it does, right, is it builds these kinds of bonds that then you can think about, the way that they react to our, like when we touch the screens, how sensitive they are, and the way that they behave. And the way that, say, geolocation, when we look at the phone, and a map, we see a dot, which we identify as ourselves when it's not really ourselves, right? The only thing that dot represents is the device, right, the object. But we see it, and we see that as us, and that builds that kind of bond between us and the device. And so all of these things, when you put them together, what they do is they pick up the device and see the device or understand the device as some sort of comforting object. And one of the issues here then is, you think about if we have this kind of comfort or need for the device, even beyond sort of the apps that we use and the different addresses that we might visit through the internet or something like that, is that what that produces as well, this dependence on the device as a comforting object, means that the device is also collecting data about us, even when we're not accessing the internet, right? Even when we're not using our data plan, right?
Even when we're sleeping, right?
Yes, absolutely, right? I talked earlier about those motion and audio sensors that our phones typically have now. And so one of the things that we have with this, and some people listening might recognize this, is things like sleep scores. So a lot of these devices now have health or wellness apps that are built in, with the manufacturer, and those will use the motion sensing and the audio sensing to at night sense to what extent we're moving if the device is next to us, right? What sort of noises we make, are we potentially snoring or something like that? And then in the morning, it might give us a sleep score. So yes, these devices, they're listening. The optical sensors are projecting infrared to detect our motion or our face as well. These kinds of things. So they're collecting that data even when we're not actively interacting with them.
I'm so quickly out of time here on this fascinating topic, but I encourage people to find your article and also the book, Needy Media, How Tech Gets Personal. It's just a real eye-opener, and great chat also, Professor. Thank you so much for
Can I
your
add
time
just
today.
one thing here? An important aspect of this is that this data, right, that's data about your life and all of the things that you're doing in your life, even when you're not interacting with the phone. So this raises really important privacy issues that people should think about. The very least we should do is, one, think about these devices in this way, and two, take a look at your phone, look at the settings, look at the sort of things it might be collecting, and think about, do I really need this to, these settings to be on, or can I turn them off and live without them?
Right. Great point. Professor, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Stephen Montero, Assistant Professor of Communication Studies at Concordia University. This is 570 News Radio. Back in a moment.
Here's special guest host, Larry Fedorik.
Welcome back. I just want to add something to our previous interview, too. Not add, but just emphasize again, because we so quickly ran out of time with Stephen Montero, who's got the book Needy Media. And the one point I think was really important that I want to emphasize again is go into your phone and turn off everything you don't need. Like, I understand that if you're using Google Maps, you're trying to find a place, it's important for the phone to know where you are, right? So that it can tell you which way to go to get where you want to be. But other than that, do you need to be geolocated all the time? And a lot of these phones have factory settings, default settings, factory settings. Your phone comes this way. And a lot of people don't bother to go into the device and shut off the things they don't need on a regular basis. And it would just help you. You're not going to be as dependent on the phone, and the phone is not going to be as dependent on you for data. Okay, so that's one thing. Anyway, the professor's book, again, is called Needy Media, How Tech Gets Personal. Very interesting. Very interesting. We have a 12 o'clock Talkback Hour between noon and 1 today, where we just rely on you. Maybe you can chime in on that then and get your opinions on how much we use our phones. Maybe a little too much, right? Well, there's been a warning this week, Fire Prevention Week, on the amount of battery-related fires that we're seeing in Ontario, other places of the world, of course, but in the region and in Ontario. And it is an issue that I'm really fascinated over, these lithium-ion battery fires and the potential dangers that go beyond just any other kind of fire. Shamir Mehta is the fire prevention officer for Waterloo Fire Rescue Services and joins us now. Officer Mehta, thank you for joining us.
Hi, good morning, Larry. Thank you for having us.
Lithium-ion battery fires, why are they, first of all, generally, do we know why they catch fire? Because a lot of people have power tools and e-scooters and phones and things, and not everybody catches fire.
Yeah, so generally it's caused by the sheer number of batteries, right? From what we know, there are estimated average 70 lithium-ion devices in a household, right? In varying sizes. So that's one. It's a newer phenomenon with the number of lithium-ion devices in households. Also the design and then behavior, right? So yeah, those factors are what add to the numbers.
So just sheer numbers. Okay, I get that. Is there, and perhaps if this is out of your area, just tell me, but are they regulated as they should be? No, there's standards, right? So we always like to send out reminders that the standards are usually set by the manufacturers, and there's always a listing on the product that it's CAN-UL listed and tested. But at the end of the day, we always like to remind individuals to use it as per manufacturer's instructions. Right. I think one of the things that happens is people might mix and match chargers with different batteries because the plug works, so why not? And you're not really supposed to do that.
Exactly. So if we look at e-bikes as an example, you buy an e-bike after a few years, the original manufacturer battery or charger may fault, and then you order from a third-party supplier, and it may not be a compatible device or even a listed or tested product, and it poses a higher fire safety risk.
In the city of Toronto, they banned e-bikes on the subway during winter months. What is that got to do with it? Is there something that is more dangerous about a lithium-ion battery in cold weather?
So most manufacturers, they suggest to not expose lithium-ion batteries to extreme conditions. So that likely means like going from a cold environment in the winter and then bringing the device or bike onto a bus where it's warm or a train or a subway is likely the rationale behind that.
Right. And why is a lithium ion battery fire worse than, I say worse, I don't know how to fire's bad, but then maybe just your toaster electrical or something on a stove top or what have you. What's different about a lithium ion battery fire?
Yeah, they contain their high energy device, and oftentimes they're hard to fight fires because of the design of the battery. It's hard for fires to be fought. They pose a challenge for suppression and firefighting crews. They react to water, and they're hard to de-energize once they're fully engaged, right? So a lot of times it just requires fire crews that are responding to these incidents to just let the fire extinguish itself, or let the device extinguish itself.
Well, that's if you're but if it's burning in your bedroom, what do you do? Like, what do you mean they react to water? In what way?
They energize. So they
energize from water. Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. So it energizes, and it's highly toxic smoke as well when the fire is occurring. So going back to your bedroom example, that's why we always suggest, whenever possible, especially with the heavy-duty lithium-ion battery devices like bikes, power tools, other portable devices, to charge them away from the bedroom and exit points into the house and out of the house. Ideally, like a detached shed or in the garage.
Right, but even then, boy, you just start to worry because you got your e-bike in the garage, and maybe you got the power tools there, and and is it safe? Like, I don't want to scare people, but you got to wonder.
No, it is. You should be aware of that, and that's why we always go back to one of the best things you can do as a homeowner or a renter is to ensure that you have working smoke alarms in the unit, right? That is your first line of defense to these, because once a battery pack or a lithium-ion battery pack gets going, it moves very quickly. And it's the smoke that creates the true challenge for occupants. So as long as you have working smoke alarms on every unit, every story, that gives you a good opportunity and chance to get out.
I heard a story, and I believe this was from a fire officer in Toronto, of a car battery that they put out finally, or it burnt out, but that there was days or possibly weeks where it might catch fire again.
Yeah, that's true. Again, there's a lot of energy that's packed into those cells. So it may appear like the fire's put out, but there could be for what we call a slow smoldering going on within that device, and it could take time to extinguish itself, or it could pose a fire risk for hours or days afterwards. Yeah.
The other thing I heard is something even as small as your phone, don't charge it overnight. If something does happen, at least you're aware of it rather than fast asleep at 3 a.m.
Exactly. So with any lithium-ion device, again, don't leave devices plugged in once they are fully charged. Just unplug them. And obviously don't keep them on your bed or soft surfaces because it often hinders air circulation and promotes overheating. So yes, unplug cell phones at night.
Let's maybe recap, because we've touched on so many of them. If we can, Shamir, if we can sort of go back and go over the few things that we talked about prevention, tips, for example, like using compatible chargers and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, some points here to keep to keep and charge devices at room temperature, ideally, and away from exits in the case of fires. right? Look for any changes that may mean the battery or charger is damaged. Don't leave devices, like we had discussed, don't leave devices plugged in once they're fully charged. Don't use on soft surfaces because they can trap heat. And don't tamper with the battery in any way. If you have doubts about whether the battery is, defective or faulty, it's best off to replace it with original manufacturer battery. And not to discard lithium-ion batteries of any size in the household waste. They can be dropped off or disposed of at appropriate places.
Right. I just, speaking on that, I live in a building. We've got a little battery disposal unit in the recycling room. That's for regular batteries. I don't think I should put a lithium battery in there, should I?
No, typically not, but it would be best. Yeah, you could always reach out to the property manager to know for sure what type of, if anything, they have to contain lithium-ion battery disposal.
Right. There's lots of places, though, to take lithium-ion or what have you, that people with expertise would know what to do with it for sure. For sure, there's lots of those around. Well, these are good heads up. And then again, something you said, after all we said about the batteries themselves, smoke detectors. Make sure you have working smoke detectors. That's so important, whether we're talking batteries or not.
Yes, yeah, and that's for Fire Prevention Month. That's our main theme, is to test, inspect, and make sure you have working smoke alarms and carbon monoxide alarms, ideally on every story of the home.
Well, Shamir Mehta, thank you so much. Be safe. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Larry. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well.
Shamir Mehta is Fire Prevention Officer with Waterloo Fire Rescue Services. Just kind of the story that you may have seen on our website at 570 News Radio this week about the increased number of lithium-ion battery fires. And yeah, because those fires are a little more dangerous than just your typical sort of house flare-up fires, which can be very dangerous, of course. Smoke detectors, the big point I'm taking away from that. And the other thing, too, is that Mr. Mehta said is there's an increased number just because of the sheer increased number of battery devices, phones and tools and scooters and e-bikes, and just when you have that many, that's just by numbers alone. That's why we've seen an increased number. But still, all these things we passed along, I hope you learned to help us stay safe. It's 570 News Radio. Larry Fedorkin for Mike Farwell. Back in a moment.
They react to water, and they're hard to de-energize once they're fully engaged, right? So a lot of times it just requires fire crews that are responding to these incidents to just, let the fire extinguish itself, or let the device extinguish itself.
Well, have I worried you yet about your telephone battery? I don't mean to. It's just one of those things where I think not just during Fire Prevention Week, but especially during, we focus on some safety tips for lithium-ion batteries, which are just everywhere all the time. Not just your phones, but as I mentioned, the things like the scooters that many people use, that people need, for God's sakes. There's e-bikes, there's power tools all the time now. I see them. It's like how many things you can do on one charge of a battery. And then there's that battery in your garage with your trimmer and your hedger and your all this kind of stuff, right? And the lawnmower and all the. So I hope you learned some safety tips there. That was, by the way, Shamir Mehta. He's Fire Prevention Ontario, or Fire Prevention Officer, for Waterloo Fire Rescue Services. Larry Fedorkin from Mike Farwell. Who do we have here? Let me see. Mary? Oh, we have Mary. Let's go with Mary on 570 News Radio. Hey, Mary.
Hey, you got Mary here.
Hey, Mary.
Hey. So I'm listening to, and I do know that they are hard. The lithium-ion fires are very hard to put out. You can't do like you used to do. There has been, and I listen to the 570 all the time, and there was a case or two of Tesla and electric where the battery caught on fire, and like if you're in the car, you're toast. It goes that fast.
It can. Yes, it can. And that toxic smoke, too, is debilitates you quickly. It can, anyway.
Yeah. So the other thing was, if a battery goes on fire, what you were pointing to was you have to handle it, especially to take it, I guess, was with the landfill and cover it with sand, and then put gasoline on and burn it.
Right.
Is that what you said?
No, what they said was they had to, in the case of the battery in the car, had put it in a dumpster by itself, cover it with sand, and leave it for a few weeks just in case it got fire again.
Yeah, but then they you said pour gasoline on.
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, didn't you?
No, I said I was talking about landfills, and you couldn't just take it to a landfill and let it start fire again.
Okay, I was misconstrued. I thought you said that they put sand on it and leave it there for a while, and then I thought you said something about gasoline. So I'm misconstrued on that whole thing.
Well, the only thing I can't remember, but I did say that these fires can be more dangerous than a regular sort of. I said gasoline-powered car. These fires can be more dangerous than a regular car.
Well, I was under the impression, like I said, but I didn't hear you correctly because I was going to say, what's the point of all? And we're getting more lithium-ion fires. If you have to put them in a dumpster, and like I said, I'm misconstrued what you said, because I would say then, well, hey, what are we accomplishing here? We're putting more toxic stuff into the air.
Yeah, no, that's not.
Well,
that's not good.
But we still are putting more toxic stuff into the air.
Well, when it's on fire, yeah.
Which is far worse than that will be against, the clean air, what we're trying to accomplish, than a gasoline car. I think we should have studied it a bit more.
I'm with you on that for sure. Yeah.
Okay, Larry.
Mary, thank you for the call. I just am not sold on lithium ion at all. I mean, I think hydrogen based fuels are probably not where it's at, but probably worth studying more as a future. I don't see a big future in lithium ion. It just shifts the problem to something else for a while. Here's Gary. Gary, go ahead. You're on 570 News Radio.
Hey, Larry. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I just wanted to say quickly before I get to what I was saying that it's been a pleasure listening to you. I think you're doing a fantastic job, and I know there are big shoes to fill for filling in for Mike, but it's been great, and you've done a wonderful job. So.
Well, thank you so much, Gary. Thank you, man. You made my day. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. So driving around, listening to 570 and listening to that topic, man, it's I know not to put the fear in the fear in everybody, but now I knew a little bit about it, but now it's like after listening to that, I'm like, I'm going to go home tonight and say, okay, let's look around the house and see what we got and how are we doing it and what should we be doing and not doing. But that's pretty scary stuff. Like when you think about it and, to just, if it does catch on fire, is to just literally stand there and watch it burn and hopefully don't, burn down your house or hurt anybody. But that's just wild listening to that segment. It was,
really
it's crazy. And the thing is too, like with Tesla cars and, now there's electric buses on the road where the batteries are on the roof of the bus. And, I don't get it why. Well, that part where water does nothing, like adding water makes it worse. So when the firefighters show up, they just stand, they can't do anything. And it's,
yeah, they make sure. Gary, I got to run for time here. I got to get to our news.
Okay,
Sorry, man. Thank you. Yeah, they have to just mitigate the circumstances, make sure nothing else catches fire. And there's also been a problem with electric school buses catching fire over this last month or so. It's like, oh my gosh. Anyway, we will move on. This is 570 News Radio. Be right back.
Here's special guest host, Larry Fedoruk.
Jam-packed hour of the Mike Farwell Show with me, Larry Fedoruk. Coming up this hour, my goodness, lots to talk about. We're going to be talking to Tracy Elop of Camino Wellbeing. We're going to be talking about World Mental Health Day, which is today. And it's a concern, of course, 365 days a year, mental well-being, of course, is what I'm talking about. But it's good to have a day where we just say, okay, let's focus on this for a moment and talk about some of the issues surrounding mental health in the region and otherwise. That's coming up at 10:15. After 10:30, it's the Coaches Show. Mike Farwell returns from the road. Well, he's on the road, but he's going to provide the Coaches Show interview for us this morning just after 10:30. All that to come. Right now on the show, it's Thanksgiving weekend, which means, of course, volunteers at Trinity Community Table are preparing to serve their annual Thanksgiving meal, their lunch, as they have done for many, many years. Joining us from this wonderful organization, Trinity Community Table, we have Cheryl McInnes, who's the management committee chair and a cook at Trinity Community Table. And I want to get this right. Shareka Shinoy is director of volunteers at Trinity Community Table. Welcome to you both. Nice to talk to you. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
You've been going since 1992 at Trinity Community Table. First of all, thank you for all the things you do over the years. It's amazing.
Carol, do you want to give an overview?
Would you like a little history? We're really an outreach, community outreach program from the Trinity Anglican Church at 12 Blair Road. And it started with just a small group of church members that were concerned about the need of some Cambridge residents for food. And they made a presentation to their congregation, and it was approved. And therefore, it's really been amazing the passion the congregations had to feed the hungry. The first meal served was just soup and sandwiches, and now we have a full hot meal and a take-home lunch for everyone.
In the thousands and thousands per year.
Yeah.
Gosh, I was amazed at how many you're able to do in the course of a year.
Yeah, so absolutely. And just last year, we served. I'm just trying to find my number here. 40,739 meals. That included hot meals served, bag lunches, and some meals taken to the Bridges shelter at the end of the day.
And Shareka, you're a director of volunteers at Trinity Community Table. Maybe you could talk to the fact that this is all volunteers doing this. It's a tremendous community effort.
Yes. So we are volunteers. The whole organization is run by volunteers. And we have over 120 volunteers in our database who come. We serve 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So we have a Monday team, Wednesday team, and Friday team. There's so many volunteers who want to come in and do work. And once they start, they never leave. They want to do it because it's a very fulfilling job. It's so good to come and help and feed the needy who face food insecurity. It's a great experience and a feeling of satisfaction. So our volunteers range from in their 80s. I don't know if we have 90s too, but they want to come in and help. And so we have volunteers anywhere. Most of our volunteers are retirees. They come in somewhere in the 50s maybe, all the way to 80s. And we get them from different backgrounds, anywhere in the community who have heard about us. They come and we get from the church as well. But we get a lot of community members who come in and serve as volunteers. We do everything from cleaning vegetables, cutting, cleaning the floors. Everything is included when we say volunteering.
It's amazing. Some are like professionals who know how to set up a kitchen, which you need to do to make the volume of meals that you do. Others are, I was watching, there's the heartwarming video that's on the Trinity Anglican Church site that it talks about a gentleman who was there because he needed meals and ended up being a volunteer because he thought it was so wonderful. So it really does range. I think it's amazing there.
Yes, we absolutely have volunteers who used the kitchen before, Trinity Community Table before, and feel that, the times have improved, which is what we want to see all our guests, do well in their life, and they come back to volunteer. Absolutely.
And where does all the food come from?
Oh, we're very fortunate. We have support from the Food Bank of Waterloo Region, the Cambridge Food Bank, and donations from service groups, community members, church members, and as well, we have to purchase some food, but we have donations that allow us to do that.
And every year, with everything else that you do, you offer a Thanksgiving, it's more of a midday meal, I guess, that you're offering?
Yes, our Thanksgiving lunch, we start preparing weeks in advance with the planning, but we'll be serving a classic turkey lunch with roast turkey, dressing, gravy, mashed potatoes, squash, carrots, cabbage salad, cranberry sauce, and dinner rolls, and dessert is pumpkin and apple pie with whipping cream. So as you can imagine, we started cooking the turkeys a few days ago, and we've sliced and frozen the meat ready to heat and serve on Monday.
And there's one of the things that struck me is no questions asked if you need a meal and you show up at the Trinity Table. Yes,
that definitely is our mission, to feed all those in need. So we've never turned anyone away. We were able to serve everyone. And the odd time, if we have an extraordinary number, we've always had enough food for Thanksgiving, but there's been times that we would curry and make beans and wieners or macaroni and cheese or something if we had more than expected. But yes, we feed everyone that comes.
Right. And by the way, I noticed you're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, or anywhere else people can find you?
I think that's it. The website, like you said, and Facebook and Instagram.
The reason I mention that is because if you go to especially Facebook, Instagram, you can see the photos of people working in the kitchen and just, wow, what a process. I mean, you guys are amazing. It's terrific. A lot goes on, obviously.
Well, thank you. Yes, some of the pictures were just posted this week of our Tuesday team getting ready. Yes, I was there.
So it's this Monday, Thanksgiving Day. What time is
the lunch is served between 11 and 12:15 p.m., and coffee is started at 9:30. Some of the guests like to come in and have coffee prior to lunch.
So not only are you providing the meal, the nourishment, but it's a place for people to go, just to be with other people. Yes.
We feel that the value of Trinity Community Table is more than just food. We find that our guests find a community there, and they find acceptance. They feel welcome, and we think that's important, as well as the food we provide.
And Larry, we also provide a sandwich back when they leave for the day, so that they have something for the evening.
Right. Sharika, I understand you left sort of professional finance jobs to go volunteer full-time and things. And is that right? And what satisfaction do you get out of volunteering? Maybe talk about that a bit.
For sure. Oh, yes, I did leave. I have been wanting to give back to my community. I used to work in Toronto, give back to Cambridge and Waterloo region. And that was a lifelong interest of mine, and I was waiting for the right time. And so the soup kitchen, I didn't know it was called Trinity Community Table those days. Soup kitchen was something I was looking for forever to find out how I could, serve there. It's been 14 years for me at the Trinity Community Table, and it is something I would do till the very end of my, till I can function. It grounds you. I always say, come to the community table to see what we do, because it gives you, first it grounds you to know that there are people out there and we need to have compassion and empathy for other people in need. We always talk about them, and that it's not okay. It could be any one of us facing food insecurity or homelessness just because of the situation we are in. Sometimes, yes, mental health, we see a lot of guests who come in. We know they suffer from mental health issues too, but it's important to come and see our community. And I always say nobody comes there because they want to exploit the system. They come there because they have, they can't have a meal. A lot of our guests say this is one of the best meals I've had, or I haven't eaten for days. And that is it's painful and at the same time very humbling to hear that we are able to help somebody or feed somebody who hasn't had a meal. And volunteering has always been something I always wanted to do, or it was embedded in us by my parents. And now I hope our children and the younger generation, continues to volunteer and give back to the community. It's a long way, Larry, the story.
Shareka and Cheryl, you are the two representing Trinity Community Table here today on this interview, but just a shout out to all the dozens and dozens of volunteers who make this happen throughout the week, and for the special luncheon meal on Thanksgiving. Thank you for all that you do, and thank you for your time today. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Larry, for having
Thank you, Larry, and happy Thanksgiving to you as well.
All right, take care. That is Cheryl McInnes and Shareka Shenoy. They're from Trinity Community Table at Trinity Anglican Church. And the Thanksgiving luncheon, boy, did that sound terrific, huh? Everything that they managed to put together for that, with the turkey, the potatoes, the squash, the carrots, the dressing, what am I missing? Cabbage salad, dessert with whipped cream. Wow. For thousands and thousands of people in need. That starts at 11 o'clock on Thanksgiving Monday, 11 till noon 15 is when the luncheon is at the community table there at the church, Trinity Community Table. Thank you so much. This is 570 News Radio. Back in a moment. Larry Fedoruk in for Mike Farwell. You will hear Mike not only tonight when the Rangers play the Sioux Greyhounds, but he's coming up with the coaches show with UC Hocus coming up just after 10:30 this morning. Today is World Mental Health Day, and though there is always a need for mental health services and increased awareness, I would say, it is good to have a day to maybe help increase that awareness and focus on the issues of mental health. Who better to talk to than the CEO of Camino Wellbeing, Tracy Elop, who joins us now. Good morning, Tracy.
Good morning.
How important is it to have a day set aside to sort of emphasize, if you will, the importance of mental health issues?
Well, we know that mental health is important every day. And yet I think having a day that is specifically targeting mental health is important because it does raise the awareness of the day, and it encourages people to talk. It also gives people an opportunity maybe to pause and reflect on their own mental health, the mental health of the people in their circle, and open up an ability to have a conversation about that.
You would know more than most because even at Camino, you said there was an increase last year in need for your services. You'd rather there be less, but there was more.
far more, actually. The need for mental health services is increasing every year. Last year, we served 21,000 people in our community in Waterloo Region, and that was a 20% increase from the year before. And so part of that increase is because more people are reaching out because, thankfully we are decreasing a little bit of the stigma. There's still lots left. But the other is the world is getting to be a more difficult place. It's more complicated. There's so many different pieces of the world that create conflict and create stress for people. And so we know that when the stress levels increase through worry, then the mental health needs of the community increase as well.
I've done radio interviews and talked about this and advocated for mental health for so many years, and the word stigma is still being used, and that's so sad to me. And I understand it. It's tough to be able to, as an individual, to be able to say, gee, I'm having some issues right now. What do you think? Can you help me? Not necessarily just Camino, but a friend, somebody. Is there anything we can do to help facilitate, help people ask for help?
Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of little things that we can do. One of the first is really being open about our own mental health. So when we are open about the challenges that we're having and maybe the supports that we've received, it is an invitation in for others to also share and know that they're not alone. There's more than almost 7 million people in Canada that are struggling with their mental health. So I think the idea that if we can stop ourselves from feeling like we're the only people who are struggling, that goes a long way. I think the other thing for all of us to recognize is that you just don't know what someone is dealing with. And we talk at Camino, we've been really talking a lot about this idea that behind any door, there's a story. So the idea is you don't really know what's happening unless you open up that conversation. So I think just really being aware of your own needs and asking people how they're doing, but not in a casual way. Really, everybody asks, how are you doing? And the standard answer is, oh, I'm fine. So how do we get beyond that to get a really authentic answer and for people to know that you want to hear the answer for that? So I think really focusing on one's own mental health, really being aware of who's in your circle of friends who might need some support, opening up that conversation, that really can go a long way.
I was reading in your literature the whole analogy of the door and behind every door and any door and opening up the doors. And I just thought it was so great because I always wonder, I live in a building, so I always wonder about, if I'm in the hallway or whatever, gee, behind that door, what's going on? I hope things are good there. It's so, it's different. Yeah.
Yeah. And we specifically chose that statement, I think, because it's so accessible to everyone. Everyone knows about a closed door and an open door. And so we need to get the doors open and people need to walk through it and know that there's help on the other side.
Can people go to Camino Wellbeing either online or obviously as a place to reach out to? You said you have an increase, but I guess you're saying, sure, give us a call. We can help.
For sure. We are here to serve the community, and Camino offers supports to individuals of all ages, and we offer most of our services for free. We do have a sliding scale for counseling services, but we supplement all of that with really generous donated supports. So anyone coming to us will be able to get support. No one will ever be turned away. And we're really committed to making sure that people get the right support at the right time. There's different ways that people can access our services because we really want them to be accessible. So individuals can reach out to us through our website and make an appointment to talk to someone. They can walk in or come to our location at 400 Queen Street. We offer quick response, which means that anyone, anytime can walk into our Queen Street location and get a session that very same day. And know that they will be able to see someone and talk to them and leave a single session with a strategy and someone who has helped them reframe some of the challenges that they might be going through. We also offer groups and workshops at no cost to people, and we support families who are going through difficulties. So there's so many different opportunities for people to get help. It hurts to know that people are out there struggling and they're on their own when an organization like Camino is here for them.
Well, and getting started, that opening that first door, we're back to that, and it's amazing. World Mental Health Day today, but something we should think about every day. Our own struggles, the struggles of others, how we can help. Tracy Elop, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Tracy Elop is CEO of Camino Wellbeing here in the region. This is 570 News Radio.
Here's special guest host, Larry Fedoruk.
Tonight, you'll hear on 570 News Radio. Mike Farwell, of course, on the road with the team all this week. And that's why I'm here for Mike Farwell this week. So good for me, because I love filling in here. And, of course, Go Rangers Go. The game tonight on 570 against the Sioux Greyhounds. Tomorrow night they're in Saginaw. By the way, as I said earlier this week, thank you, Blue Jays. Because if the Blue Jays didn't win on Wednesday, they would have also had to play tonight, thus splitting our sports attention two different ways. Not that you couldn't have a TV on here and a radio on here. Of course, you can do that. People do that. I know they do that. However, this makes the decision on sports much easier now because you can concentrate on the Rangers. And speaking of which, if you haven't been following too closely, the Blue Jays will play either Seattle or Detroit. That game 5 is tonight. So if you are I can't get enough baseball, there is a game tonight that'll be of interest to Blue Jays fans. If you want to see that, of course, you can always just, get the results the next day and all that. But if you're interested, that game's on tonight. And also, and by the way, we don't know who the Jays prefer. I don't think they care. Ian Hunter, the Blue Jay Hunter, was talking to us yesterday and pointed out that the Jays have a very good record against both teams during the regular season, both Seattle and Detroit. So who do we want to play? I don't care. But as 570 News pointed out today too, Detroit and Seattle are both kind of border cities. Not kind of, they are border cities, where when the Jays show up in those cities, a lot of Jays fans will make the trek to go watch their team, right? So they're familiar with the Jays and Jays fans, and they announced the times, because that's one thing I was, even after the win on Wednesday night, I'm like, okay, I got to plan my weekend because the Jays are playing Saturday and Sunday, and it's a holiday Monday, so that's good. Lots of Jays, be my Jays weekend, Saturday, Sunday. When is the game? When is the game? When is the game? And it was all TBA, and I'm like, come on. And I don't know why. I guess it's travel and who's, this and that. But they announced the times, and 8 o'clock is the Sunday game for the Blue Jays. If you're trying to plan your family get-togethers and your Thanksgiving and when do I go to Oktoberfest and all that kind of stuff, 8 o'clock Sunday for the Blue Jays and Detroit or Seattle. And then Monday's game, depending on what happens in the National League, and I don't know, I didn't follow it that closely, but it'll be between 4:30 and 5. We're not sure. It'll be a 4:30 game, a 5 o'clock game, but in that zone in that zone for the Monday game for the Blue Jays. So, sorry, I'm just so excited about the Blue Jays. As I said, I was at that game in '93. My son and I, Joe Carter, the home run, everything. It's what a chance I had to be at that game, and what a memory we've always had. And I still haven't posted the pictures of my tickets yet, but I'm going to do that because it's great souvenirs of the day. Years later, I managed to find on sale a Joe Carter autographed jersey, which I got for my son. So he has that. We're just baseball crazy. And my dream because '93 was Phillies and Jays. And I always thought Jays and Phillies rematch would be kind of cool for 2025. Alas, the Phillies did lose a heartbreaker to the Dodgers. So the Dodgers are going in either against the Cubs or the Brewers. So, because that's going to go to Game 5 as well. So anyway, all right, there. Have I got you Blue Jayed out? Okay, because really what we're doing here is the Coach's Show. So here is the voice you've been missing all week.
Friday mornings during the hockey season, it is, of course, the Coach's Show at 10:30 every Friday. Rangers on the road in Sault Ste. Marie tonight, and UC Ahokas, the head coach, joining us for the Coach's Show. UC, it was a tough loss in Flint the other night. You didn't like your team's second and third period. How do you correct that in time for tonight?
Well, we've had meetings, but all in all, it comes from everybody and the mindset that you're ready to play the full 60 minutes, not only 20. We're going to do a little bit changes on the lineup, and all in all, the boys have to be ready. That 2 periods, we didn't play our game, and with that game, you won't win game. You just won't win, so we have to get back on track.
When you make those changes to the lineup, are you looking for players that work well together? You're just trying to mix things up for them to keep their brains working differently?
Well, just again, we have to say 0 goals, so we have to do some changes. It's not, we've seen it, it's not working, so now we have to try something new and maybe get the boys going a little bit better.
I know you want to win every night. So does the team. Is there a bright side? Is this a good time of the season to have a game like that because it's still early and you're still establishing the culture here for this season?
Well, it's the same 2 points what you can get. So loss is never a good time. But I'd rather have it now than in the playoffs. So that's just how it goes. But then again, we have to get our game together, and it's early in the season, and there's a lot of spots to take, like what role do you want, and who do you want to play, like where do you want to play, and it's a long season, but you want to get going right away, and that what we showed in Flint, that's not the Ranger way how we play.
I thought if there was a bright side, for sure, Christian Kirsch had a terrific game for you in goal. Seems like he fits this league just fine.
Yeah, he's played well, and of course, I think he'll get better and better. He's done good work with our goalie coach Jordan Accord, and good talent, good size, and now even a little bit more work, and I think he'll be good for us.
It's never easy up here in the Sioux. They play a high-tempo game. What do you need to see from your team tonight to be successful?
Well, you have to first of all, you have to defend well, and then you have to, because they play a fast game, they want to turn, so you have to manage pucks. And then, but all in all, everything comes from, are you ready to compete? Are you ready to work? Are you ready to put your heart and soul out there? And that's what I want to see today.
Thanks for this. Good luck in the game.
Thank you.
UC Ahokas, head coach of the Kitchener Rangers, joins us every Friday morning at this time for the Coach's Show, and we make sure you hear the Coach's Show even when we're on the road, which we are. It started this road trip Wednesday night in Flint, that 3-0 loss for the Kitchener Rangers. Now 4-2 on the season are the Rangers, having lost 2 of their past 3 games. And they're into Sault Ste. Marie tonight, then off to Saginaw to close out this road trip versus the Spirit tomorrow night at the Dow Event Center in Saginaw. Rangers coming into this one, obviously looking to rebound from that loss on Wednesday night. You heard UC Ahokas say just there, that was not the Ranger way. He expects more and demands more from this hockey club. So we'll see what team shows up tonight when we get our Harris Law pregame show underway at 6:30 from GFL Memorial Gardens here in Sault Ste. Marie, and all of the action starting just after 7. Around the Ontario Hockey League, there are 6 other games tonight, including the Guelph Storm at home to the North Bay Battalion. And Guelph last night picked up a point off the Windsor Spitfires, taking the Spits to overtime. The Storm did, scoring late in the third period, but losing 3-2 in overtime. Ethan Belchez, the overtime winner for Windsor in that one. But the Storm pick up a point on the road against a very tough team last night, and again, now home to the North Bay Battalion tonight. Also, the Ottawa 67s are in action, and I bring that up just because Ottawa, with a win last night, is now 5-0 to start the season. Yet to lose, the only undefeated team left in the Ontario Hockey League through 5 games, the Ottawa 67s. So we'll keep our eyes and ears on them as well to see how much longer this run to start the season can go. It's nowhere close to a record, in case you're curious. 11 games to start the season, 11-0, done by both the Peterborough Petes and the Guelph Storm. Those are the 2 teams with the longest run to start a season unbeaten, 11-0. So the 67s have a ways to go for that, but still looking awfully good. And one more note about the game tonight. Brady Martin, the native of Elmira, who was drafted by the Nashville Predators in the first round of the NHL draft back in June, started the season with the Nashville Predators. So if there's some good news, I guess, for the Kitchener Rangers, it's that Brady Martin will not be on the ice with the Greyhounds tonight. Very talented player, of course, and I know Martin's family back home in the region and lots of hockey fans from there have been enjoying watching him. Watching him right now in the National Hockey League as he starts the season with the Nashville Predators. Of course, the Greyhounds would love to have him back, but that's another story entirely. So no Brady Martin for the Greyhounds tonight, but still a tough task ahead for the Kitchener Rangers as they face the Greyhounds here at GFL Memorial Gardens in Sault Ste. Marie. Again, pregame coverage brought to you by Harris Law. We'll get underway at 6:30, and then all of the action, Rangers and Hounds, starting at 7. Josh Piercy and I will bring all of the action to you back home. This is the Coach's Show, and just throwing a thanks to Larry Fedoruk for filling in on my show while I'm away. That will continue, my show with Larry Fedoruk, right here on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Larry Fedoruk in for Mike Farwell. Good to hear Mike there on the Coach's Show. And UC Ahokas, the coach, of course. It's called the Coach's Show. And just preparing for tonight's game. And again, the game tonight, 570 News Radio. It's the Sioux Greyhounds and your Kitchener Rangers. Tomorrow night, they're in Saginaw. So, Larry Fedoruk in for Mike Farwell. We're almost moments away from tapping the keg down at the Willkommen Platz. Should be a great weekend for Oktoberfest. Remember, you can't spell Oktoberfest without okay. Okay, Oktoberfest. Go, go, go. And a special award to Walter Ostanek. Isn't that terrific? Did you know Walter Ostanek turned 90 this year? It's just like applause for turning 90, sure, yes, but for just being so active and involved and still going at 90, I'm like, wow, that's incredible. That is just fantastic. I think I've mentioned this before. I keep a list. For some reason, it's just a thing I like to do, of people 90 and older, both alive and not. And I started a couple of years ago when Betty White passed at 99 as they were preparing all these TV specials and everything for her 100th birthday. And she died right towards the end of the year. Remember? A couple of years ago? And everybody's like, oh, see, you jinxed it. You jinxed. I'm like, no. No, people don't have that kind of influence over somebody's life, because if they did, I would never ask anybody to plan a party for me at all. Don't plan anything because you're going to jinx it, right? But there was that. So anyway, when that happened, I thought to myself, gee, you know what? There's a lot of people that are well, not maybe pushing 100, but are in their 90s, celebrities that we know. And my mom at the time had, what was she, 90 or 91 at the time? She lived to 94. So I just got curious about that. And my mom, except for literally the last couple of weeks, was fine. She had health issues associated with being 90. But as far as clarity and mental health issues, almost zero, right? Right since the last couple of weeks, maybe a month or so. And so for 94 years, she had almost all of them, as fantastic life. It's just amazing. And so I started to make a list in my head, and I thought, I'm going to actually make a list. So now I have this list. I have this document that I keep of people 90 and older. And then I expanded it to celebrities who lived to be 90 and older. Like Bob Hope, I think, was 100 or 100 and something. Kirk Douglas, I think, was 104. George Burns obviously lived to be 100. People who lived to be 90 and older, in all endeavors, politics, show business, what have you. I keep an entire list. And then I also have a list of people 90 and older. And some of the more famous ones, of course, people know, like Dick Van Dyke. Probably, I think he's going to be 100 in December, knock on wood. Mel Brooks, Clint Eastwood, famously. Who am I thinking of? Robert Duvall. There's just so many, and I don't have the list in front of me, and I purposely didn't pull the list up in front of me so I wouldn't just sit here and read the list for you. And occasionally, and it always makes me sad, because I have the list of people who have passed, but who live to be 90 and older. Oh, Marv Levy. Do you know, Marv Levy turned 100 this year. Do you know that? Marv Levy, do you remember Marv Levy? The coach of the Buffalo Bills for all those years of almost winning the Super Bowl, but a fantastic team, Jim Kelly, all of the guys. Marv Levy coached for most of that time. He's with us. He's 100. On my list. There's always these people like a Glenn Hall. Older hockey fans would remember Glenn Hall, most famously goaltender with the Blackhawks. Might have played for a few other teams as well. But he's in his 90s. Scotty Bowman, I think, is 90 or 91 now. So I just have fun, and I do it as kind of my own little personal tribute to people who are 90 and older. And it always pains me to have to move somebody from the 90s list into the obituary list, like with Jane Goodall, most recently, Jane Goodall, who was the Italian Giorgio Armani, Italian designer. So again, it's a list I keep. And why did I bring this up? Oh, Walter Ostanek. Walter Ostanek, I was well aware because he was on my list, because I also keep a list of people who are 89 about to turn 90, right? Woody Allen is going to be 90, I think, in December. People like that. Robert Redford was going to be 90 next spring, I think it was. So, and I thought of making the list 85 and older, or 80. I thought of making a separate one, and I'm like, well, no, I don't know. I'm only doing this basically for myself and the odd Facebook post anyway. Why am I doing it? I don't know. It's just really interesting. And the list of people, celebrities, because the other thing was, when I started to research this, there was no definitive list. There was a few people here and a few people here from show business, but nobody from sports, and then nobody from business. Rupert Murdoch is 92 or 93, people like that. Michael Dukakis, remember, American politician? I think he's 90 or 91 now. There was no definitive list of everybody, sort of in a celebrity or well-known person kind of list. So I thought, I'm going to do that for whatever reason. No reason, just my own curiosity. And the list is around 160 people. And every once in a while, if I got a moment and I think of it, I will do another Google search and another list search just to see if I've missed anybody. And new lists come out, and I haven't added anybody because, like, oh, that person, oh no, they're on my list. I've already got them on my list, right? Lee Grant, you remember Lee Grant, magnificent actress? She there's a little bit of controversy as to what her birth date actually is, but she is almost 100, So stuff like that, I keep a list of. And Walter Ostanek, 90 years old, fantastic. I applaud you, man. It is very cool. Coming up next hour, it's our Friday 4 panel, where we get 3 guests, myself, making us 4 for the panel. And we talk about some of the issues of the day and the week. This week, Jane Mitchell is here, David Maskell, and Bob Verbanek on our Friday 4 panel. That is coming up next. Larry Fedoruk in for Mike Farwell, 570 News Radio.
Here's special guest host, Larry Fedoruk.
I am, I guess, panel 1 of the Friday 4 panel. We're waiting for our other 3 panel members, panelists, to show up. We're just having some connection issues here, but we're going to get our Friday 4 panel going in a moment, discussing some of the topics of the day, including the college strike that's been going on now for about 4 weeks. But Conestoga College, Dune campus, basically closed to vehicular traffic and just the big rally. And what they're doing is, at the college strike, that's just one of our topics today, but what they're doing at the college strike, as you know, is rotating the rallies. When I spoke to one of the union officials this week on the show, they told us that, of course, they're not going to kind of tip their hand as to where the next rally might be, but they do want to plan kind of series of these bigger rallies rather than regular picket lines for the college strike. So that is ongoing here in Ontario. Excuse me, the postal strike, we have some news on that front today. Speaking of labor disputes, in the Canada Post, I always call it the post office. I don't know why. It's much more than just the post office. But Canada Post announcing they'll be doing rotating strikes instead of one large national strike. Okay? So that means that when they rotate the strikes, unless the strike is in our area, in our region, in Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge, that mail will be starting to come through. Now, it's a Friday, so that means you still might not see mail today, because you should see some. You should see some, even though, as with any strike situation with Canada Post, they have a bit of a backlog, and then they have to kind of get through that and get the mail moving again. My thoughts, and I actually did a podcast on this week. I do a weekly podcast called Later That Same Life. And one of the things I did on the podcast was talk about the post office this week. I actually called it the post office, even though it's Canada Post. It's a lot more than just a post office. And talked about the need and the future of this postal service the way we know it. But what's going to be interesting is, and I think a lot was said this week with you calling into the show about Canada Post in the future and mail delivery. Maybe the answer isn't community mailboxes. Maybe it's just less, we don't get mail every day, or at least we don't even expect mail. I know we don't get mail every day, but just not to even expect mail every day, because it's going to be delivered once or twice a week. Like once a week. Do I even check the mail more than once a week? Not really. And then, of course, I heard from everybody who relies on Canada Post. seriously, every person, let me know by call or email or a social media post. That everybody let me know. I still use Canada Post. I still use Canada Post. Okay, and that's fair enough. Small business, people who get, one person wrote me, said they get medication and disability checks through Canada Post. There's no other way to get them. I heard about small business, independent business. I heard about rural areas. So that just tells me that we have to refocus on the post office. Canada Post has to refocus on the services they provide and where they provide them and who really, because now it's more of a blanket approach, right? This is what we do. This is how Canada Post do. We just deliver mail to everybody as it comes up. Well, maybe not. Maybe that's not the system that's going to work. Anyway, so that changed today. You'll start to see some mail. As far as the college strike, that is ongoing. It is support staff at the 24 public colleges in the province of Ontario, including, of course, Conestoga. So anyway, that's on our schedule. If we can get our Friday 4 panel, I have to sort of ask back to the studio here if we've got any panelists. No? Doesn't look like it. On my screen, as we kind of all zoom in, as you know or may not know, I fill in for Mike Farwell. I do the show from home, and for a lot of different reasons. But I do the show from home, so I'm sort of relying on technology in the screen here for people to zoom in and be because right now it's the Friday 1 panel. It's me. You already had that for the last couple of hours. You want, right? We want a 4 panel here to talk about some of the things. On my list this week also was, of course, Marineland. I wanted to discuss that with the panel. Should we get them together? That's just so, gosh, that's such a tough situation. I don't know why somebody isn't coming through with something. In other words, if you don't know the situation, they've got at least 30 belugas and possibly dozens and dozens of other animals that they have to find homes for, the toughest of which is 30 belugas, because you can't just put them on the back of an 18-wheeler and roll them over to a new home down the road. And Canada doesn't want to sell. Canada won't allow Marineland to sell them to just anybody who's going to use them in a similar Marineland / SeaWorld / showbiz. That's not what they want for them. The sanctuary in Halifax is, they say, not ready for belugas off the coast of Halifax. Nobody else is really buying. Nobody else is able to take care of them. And Marineland said they don't have the cash to take care of them right now. So what do? Euthanize them. This says Marineland. And what people are asking for is people to come forward with, maybe the province and the feds to come forward with some special funding to at least get veterinary care and food over to the belugas now until something can be done. So and nobody's stepping up. Nobody's stepping up. I say nobody. Maybe some individuals are donating. I don't know. But as far as a Doug Ford or federal government, nobody seems to be stepping up and saying we're going to help these whales in the meantime. So what else was on the list today? Sort of wrapping up the week, stuff we were talking about. Oh, speed cameras. Are you pro or anti-speed camera? Now, I think that speed cameras aren't they're zero tolerance. Am I correct on that? I think they are. Whereas, okay, if you have an officer with a radar gun sitting in a car or, hiding behind a tree, then, and you're going 53 through a 50 zone, who cares, right? 105 on a 401, who cares? 110 even, who cares? But the photo radar, I don't think has a tolerance built into it, which is the other thing I always thought. Speed cameras, i.e. photo radar, I guess is something a little technically different. But speed cameras, is there an allowance built in? Is there a tolerance built in where, all right, you're monitoring a 50 zone and people went 53. We're not sending that guy a ticket, but this other one who went 63. Oh yeah, definitely. I'd be more amenable to speed cameras if that was the case. I don't know that it is. Here's the other thing. So Doug Ford wants them gone, right? He wants to set a provincial law, no speed cameras. Municipalities like Waterloo Region are saying, well, hold on a second. We have contracts. We have 6 cameras we were about to put up, and we're going to put them up because we have contracts and the money's been spent. And also we think they're effective. And this is the other interesting thing to me about speed cameras is when you look at the effectiveness of speed cameras, everybody says, oh, they're very effective. They're very effective. They're great. But, how great are they? How well do they work? So is it 1%? Is it 2%? Is it 5%? Like, what is the percentage? A lot of studies I've seen, it's very small percentages of they work, but yes, only to this small percentage. So we shall see. Now, I almost, hold on here, let me check. I almost think, no, I thought we had a panel. We don't. I was looking at the panels and they're all me. So we don't have a panel yet. Is that correct? Anybody want to tell me? We don't? All right. Where was I? Speed cameras. Yeah. So if Doug Ford wants them gone and we still want to put a few more speed cameras in, the speed cameras that we're looking at in Waterloo, by my understanding, are school zones. And I'm just going to add to the idea that speed cameras in school zones, I am zero tolerance in school zones. If it's 40 in a school zone and you do 40.5, I think you should get a ticket. Like, seriously, school zones to me are just like, like I said, you're doing 110 on the 401, okay, but school zone, zero tolerance. As a matter of fact, I think the speed limit should be 30. All right. We're starting to get our panel together. Who have we got here?
It's Bob.
Hello.
Hey, Jane. How are you?
It finally went through. I don't know why.
Yeah, there was some issue to get started. Hey, Larry. How are you?
I'm good, Bob. How are you? Jane, how are you?
Good.
And we're also waiting on David, but we're actually almost at break here. So, but anyway, sorry you had trouble getting through. I guess it's
it just was not connecting.
Yes.
Ghosts in the machine or tech issues or something, or who knows?
It's happening. It happens these days.
Well, we have a Friday 3 panel, and that's 3 times better than the 1 panel that I was going through.
Talking to everyone, yes.
Thanks for keep trying and getting through. And the first thing I'm going to say is, hang on, we're going to take a short break, and then we'll get to our panel with all these issues and more coming up next. This is 570 News Radio. Be right back. If you're just joining us, I'm Larry Fedorkin from Mike Farwell, the Friday 4 panel. We've had some technical issues getting the panel together, but we do have former regional councillor and author Jane Mitchell with us.
Hello.
So officially now, good morning, Jane.
Good morning.
And former journalist, instructor at Conestoga College, Bob Verbanek is here. Bob, good morning again.
Morning, Larry. How are you?
Good. I'm fine. You are fine. Jane, let's share this news about your book.
Yes, my mystery story, Bad Counsel, is now available for pickup at Wordsworth, and it's about a municipal councillor who's murdered with a commemorative brick, and then there's a woman councillor who's the only woman on this particular council, and it is a bad council. So
I love the title. Great branding.
Isn't this a counselor, a hated counselor? You said murdered with a commemorative
yes, the
brick.
one that's murdered. Yes, is that counselor that all the other counselors and the staff hate? Yeah, it's that one that's murdered.
and covering Jane on council for so many years, I'm trying to picture which one it might be.
Well, remember at the beginning, this is fiction, and yes, there is that little thing at the end. Any resemblance to any person, living or dead, is purely coincidental. So
yes, but dare we ask the inspiration? But we'll just leave it at that because writers get inspired by
what I took was various characteristics of various counselors over the years. You know, I was a counselor for 18 years and on school board before that. So there's even some from the school board, you know, characteristics of various different people and various things that have happened. Particularly, I looked at Waterloo and what happened at Waterloo with Rim Park, although of course, what happens with this particular thing, but there's things going on with developers and in Libby's ward, in this counselor's ward, and they don't tell her about it and so on. Yeah, there's lots of stuff going on in the story.
Congratulations. Title of the book again, Jane?
Bad Counsel. Okay. It's Bad Counsel, and you can pick it up at Wordsworth Books.
All right, congratulations on that. I believe joining us, David Marskell, CEO of the museum.
Hello, I've been in the waiting room.
All right.
Yes, we all have.
Okay.
Our bad, I guess. We had some technical issues of getting people out of the waiting room. But why did they call it the waiting room? Because you wait. So sorry you had to wait, but here we are. David, how are things at the museum?
Excuse me, very good. We've had a great summer, and even though we've got some fine weather, we're getting a good traction to our attractions, and we're looking forward to a busy weekend with Oktoberfest.
All right. Terrific. I started out talking about the college strike this week that basically closed, at least to vehicular traffic, Conestoga College Dune campus. I sort of want to ask how the college strike is affecting you and how this rally this week affected you. And Bob Verbenek, of course, I want to start with you. Talk about that for a bit.
Well, as a instructor at Conestoga, I know the picket line well. I've had to cross it to do some teaching, and I have a lot of friends who are actually on the picket line right now. So the big closure at Dune wasn't a surprise. It's part of a province-wide campaign from the union to really raise the awareness of the issues. I think it's trying to put it on the radar of the province. I think that's what that bargaining unit strategy is, because this is a provincial issue too. What's the future post-secondary of the college system? It's in dire straits now since some of the changes brought on by the enrollment and who can enroll. And I think there's a real discussion that needs to be happening about the future post-secondary now. We saw, and we're still seeing layoffs, cutbacks. I've been affected by that personally too. So it's trying to put it on the radar. This is a problem that's been years in the making, and it seems to be coming to a head now. And I think that the strategy really is trying to say, hey, the province has to be a part of this too as well.
David Marskell, your thoughts on not only the rally but the college strike that's been going on for a month or so?
Well, personally, I'm not impacted. I wasn't near Dune when that part happened, but it kind of goes to the joke of when postal workers go on strike, how do you tell? I mean, like postal workers, I think the college workers, and especially Conestoga, have to see the writing on the wall. I mean, until the federal government can find some sort of balance that allows foreign students in, which help our need for skilled workers down the road. It fills our restaurants, it fills our ION, our trains, our transit system, versus driving rents up. And the college will be in decline, and there'll be more and more jobs lost. So I do think it's actually a federal issue of getting that right balance to do the things I just said, accomplish things I just said.
Yeah. David's right about that. Yeah.
Jane, your thoughts?
Well, I, of course, agree with everything Bob has said. And having known in the past, my husband was a support worker and I was a librarian for many years. So, you know, you understand the dynamics, the fact that the pay is never as much as it probably should be. And certainly for Conestoga College, they're going through a very difficult time with the the decrease in international students, and it's just making it very, very difficult for the people that are employed by Conestoga College. And I think we need to realize that our colleges and universities are big employers in this area. And what happens to the colleges and universities really affects particularly Waterloo, where I live. And, the fact that Conestoga College does such a good job of training people. And and I appreciate too that the strikers are just doing like once a month in each spot and not closing everything down, because support workers can close everything down. So
they are. I mean, in a similar, somewhat of a parallel, Canada Post today announced rotating strikes instead of the full strike. So they will be striking in certain areas, which means other areas will be getting mail. As I guess, better strategy, or does it really get the attention? Should they really close things down, maybe, to get the attention?
I don't know, because the postal strike hasn't really affected me. Every once in a while, I look in my post box and I go, oh, yeah, that's right, there's a strike. But most of my stuff is now email, or anything like insurance or any of the papers that I need are all digital now. It's, there's very little other than flyers that comes in.
Yeah. So every strike is supposed to be a good awareness campaign, right? And if you're not getting the awareness, people don't feel it. You're not having impact. So that's why that closure of Dune was meant to raise profile. Maybe obviously the shutdown with mail hasn't worked, so they're doing more rotating ones to sort of draw attention to it. But the whole thing is to get public attention, public sentiment on your side too. So if it's not taking hold yet, that's probably why you're going to see some different strategies in the next little while.
For sure.
Yeah,
it's our Friday 4 panel. Finally, 4 of us together here on 570 News Radio. Larry Fedoruk in for Mike Farwell. We'll continue with more in a moment.
Larry Fedoruk.
And also making up our Friday 4 panel today, David Marskel, CEO of the museum. Jean Mitchell, former regional counselor, now published author with a new book out today. And Bob Urbanek is a former journalist and currently instructor at Conestoga College. We were segueing, and I guess we might have done this during the break so people didn't hear, but we were talking about labor disputes, college and postal. And I guess we started talking about the federal government. So I thought I'd segue into our topic of Mark Carney's trip to D.C. this week, which, the face-to-face with Donald Trump. And of course, this is the topic of tariffs et al. So, and David, I'll start with you. What did you make of the trip? We haven't heard, big news or anything. Was it a success?
Yeah, I think it was a success. I do believe Carney is playing this very carefully, and I think he's playing it nicely. I mean, we will have tariffs, it seems, but currently we're the lowest of any other country, I believe. And it seems, as we just heard in the news, manufacturing jobs bounce back, which is a bit of a surprise. But Carney can mitigate the impact by continuing his cajoling of Trump. I don't think I've ever used that word more appropriately. Because that's what he's been doing, and I think he's been doing it very well. We need the big projects, which he's talked about. And I don't know if we could build a Canadian car. Is that something that we could actually build a Canadian car and continue that sector in Canada? I don't know. I don't believe the leader of the opposition could do anything better at this point. At this point, he's not telling us what he would do better. He just slams any suggestions Team Canada has had. And I'm sorry that Ford is kind of pushing this notion to beat them up. I don't think that's the right play. I think Carney's been doing it well, cajoling him and so on. So stay the course and make some major changes within our economy and within our country and collaborate with other countries, I think is the plan.
Jean Mitchell, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think Carney's being very diplomatic and sort of trying to keep on the good side of Trump, who is so mercurial, you just don't know what's going to happen. Anything can set him off. I have also read that the auto industry and other industries are starting to really put the pressure on the American government and the federal government. They're all parts of their Senate, Congress, and Trump, because this is really costing them. The auto industry particularly is saying that the tariffs are really, really, increasing the cost of cars. And I think what's going to happen is the American people are starting to see instead of getting a decrease in their groceries, they're starting to get an increase. And a lot of Trump's policies are the ones where they're going, all this stuff that's going on in Chicago and Portland and pulling people off the street. And, so what's happened is I think we're going to see our grocery prices going up this winter as well, in fresh fruit and vegetables from California, because all the workers from California just left. They were like, well, we don't want to be put into jail for months because we're here probably illegally to pick the fruit and the vegetables. So, it's just, and hopefully we can do trade with other countries so that we don't get sucked into what's going to go on in the United States.
Bob Verbanek, the Mark Carney trip, the person to person, is that important?
Yeah. He seems to have some kind of a relationship with Trump. Trump does have some level of respect for him that he didn't have for the former prime minister, obviously. So, and for Trump, it's all transactional, and it's all how he kissed the ring with him, right? So if you can walk that fine line where you're obviously feeding that bottomless pit of ego, and at the same time winning some kind of concessions or support for what Canadian interests are, I think it's a tough job when you're dealing with someone who's as unhinged as that, right? So
it's interesting. This week, U of T put out a tariff tracker. They call it tariff mapping, I think. And you can go to U of T site and type in tariff mapping. And what they did was they looked at municipalities and urban areas affected most, not federal governments or provincial governments, but the cities, the people, you and I in the streets of the cities who are affected most. And Waterloo region was one of the most affected negatively by tariffs.
Yeah, we're strong manufacturing still. We have a high-tech sector that's obviously tied into that as well. And, there's been a flight of capital to the United States from people pandering to the puppet prince there. So you have to do what you have to do. So you have to keep on the radar, keep the conversation going. It's a good sign that it was a request by the U.S. government. I think there is probably something coming down the pipeline, not the Keystone pipeline, but one pipeline or another. So we'll have to see.
The metaphoric pipeline, you mean?
That's right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I find those meetings interesting, and I said before that there's always committees and representatives, and there's a lot of face-to-face and phone. That's going on all the time. Why would the prime minister need to go at a point? But I think all of you have made the point where Carney seems to have a way with him, a relationship. Not that, something magic is going to happen, but I don't know. I enjoy the fact that he goes down there and sits in the office and answers the questions.
Yeah, Trump's totally transactional. As long as you kiss his copious behind, you're in his good books, right? So that's what you have to do.
True. Now, he didn't get the Peace Prize, by the way. That was...
Yeah.
Too bad. Someone should remind Donald Trump that the nomination for that prize is February 1st of this year. He wasn't going to get it anyways. Yeah.
And it's very interesting who did get it and why she got it.
I agree. Good choice.
Now, this is her. I don't have her name off the top of my tongue. It's Maria Corina Machado. She's from Venezuela. Now, David, you mentioned it's very interesting. What do you know about her? I mean,
well, she was in the opposition, and she was fighting against dictatorship and lost to
Maduro.
And who won the election. one is an interesting phrase, and she's been in hiding. So I just the fighting the dictatorship, fighting the dark empire wins the peace prize. I just know what Trump had to say over coffee this morning.
I found it interesting that she's almost I mean, she was leader of the opposition. She did run. People know who she is. People have met her. But outside of that, she's almost mythical in Venezuela.
She has to be. Otherwise, she'll be arrested, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also found out today that if you were nominated for a Peace Prize and you didn't get it, or you were being considered and you didn't get it, that information is confidential for 50 years. Did you guys know this?
No. That's great. This whole Nobel Peace Prize is a whole remarketing of Nobel's history, right? Frederick Nobel was the inventor of dynamite. He wanted to change his brand, and he came up with these awards. And now we talk about what great humanitarian things come out of this, instead of the fact that he created dynamite and killed millions of people, right? So great job. It's all about how you reframe the debate and argument.
It is that. And I heard the other day, which something I didn't know, was the Rhodes, behind the Rhodes Scholarship was also apparently quite a controversial figure as well. And people are questioning whether the Rhodes Scholarship should be held in such high esteem because of the endowment started by this guy. So it's interesting, you know.
Well, they'll just change the name is what they'll do. They'll just change the name from Rhodes to something else, and then you'll go, it's like the what is it called now? The Metropolitan University, and I was like,
instead of Ryerson, yeah.
Instead of Ryerson, and I have to keep reminding myself that it's Ryerson. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have to. I keep telling myself I'm a Ryerson grad, so that's not a problem.
There we go. And I realize I'm jumping all over here, but this week I talked to the mayor of Wilmot about the prime minister's path, and it's interesting when you bring that up. People talk about none of them should be up. Johnny McDonald shouldn't be up, but the others, and this and that. And I'm like, you know, the idea is history and how it's represented, and nothing's going to take away from the fact that he was the first prime minister, whether you thought he was a good guy or not, right?
Well, we all knew he was an alcoholic. I mean, everyone has always known that Johnny McDonald was an alcoholic. That's just a given.
I just find it interesting how, I guess the cancel culture idea, I just find it interesting of who we choose to cancel, who we choose not to, and how we want to. And it's not rewriting history by any means. It's just how we write it, I guess, and how we remember it. I mean, I don't know. Any thoughts?
It would be nice if we could just have, you know, the discussion instead of just looking to cancel things out, right? So I think people are tired of the two extremes of cancellations on either side. It's like, why are we? Let's look at the reality in the middle. And hey, we're not trying to say that there weren't warts and all, but there's some historical acknowledgments. He was the first prime minister. Like, there's not much you can deny about that as a fact.
I do think the pendulum swung a little bit too far one way, which allowed MAGA and all of those people to come out from under the rocks.
Right.
So I agree with you, Bob.
Although, you know, history is always, always said by the winners. The winners always do history. And what's happening now is the people that weren't the winners that things happened to are now saying we are also part of history and we need to be heard as well. I think that's the big thing. It's not the case of canceling or woke or all these buzzwords. Yeah. It's the fact that, the Indigenous people, brown people, Black people, women are saying, we are also part of history and things happen to us and that needs to be acknowledged.
Well said, and I'll pause there because I just went all over the map here on this segment, and I knew these guys could keep up. And thank you, for traveling the path.
We're doing the Trumpian weave right now, so
that's right. That's what we did. That's what we did. It's the Friday 4 panel, and we have with us Bob Urbanek, Dave Marskell, and David Marskell, and Jane Mitchell, and more in a moment here on 570 News Radio. I'm Larry Fedorkin for Mike Farwell. Friday 4 panel is former regional counselor Jane Mitchell and David Marskell, who is CEO of the museum, and Bob Urbanek, who's a former journalist and now instructor at Conestoga College. And if you're joining us just now, we had a little technical issue with the first part of our panel, so I have a bunch of topics kind of left over. So I was trying to squeeze into our 4 panel today. Maybe we can do a couple of them here. I want to start with speed cameras. I was going on about speed cameras. I don't know what to think of them, frankly. I kind of, in school zones, I'm absolutely zero tolerance, put them up. The rest of the places, I don't know. What do you think? Bob Urbanek, I'll start with you. Are they just a cash grab? Do they work? What's going on?
So I'm of the school that they are, and in some municipalities, especially in the GTA, have used them as a cash vehicle for sure. I think there is a use for them. I think what got people really upset was when you're driving through a school zone, and we know that the school's been out all summer, and I'm still getting tickets because of that. That there wasn't some kind of a switch on that where they could actually turn it off when the schools are not in session or there's no students around. I think people just went, and this is obviously one of those issues that Doug Ford knows is popular for when people are getting tickets in the mail that they want to vent their fury at someone, and Doug has decided that municipal councils are the ones that they should be pointing fingers at. So I think that's what the issue comes down to. I think there's a place for them. I think it's just how they are applied, right?
Jane, your feelings on speed cameras?
Well, it did just come out that a number of cabinet ministers were getting tickets for what they call racing, where you're 150 or something miles or kilometers an hour. So that was kind of a little thing there. But I think that they're actually really good. I agree. In the summer, maybe have it set at 40 or something like that. But they work. They work. People have stopped speeding in those areas. So speed bumps are annoying. You can't. I mean, Doug Ford doesn't like bike lanes, and one of the ways is you narrow the road. Well, if you don't have bike lanes to narrow your road or some other way, how are you going to reduce the speed naturally? So they do work. There are some problems with them, things that need to be maybe sorted out. But personally, I think they're good.
David Marskell, speed cameras.
Yeah, I think the Ford conversations, it's 2 different conversations that we're dealing with. I mean, anybody who was caught speeding should get a penalty, whatever that is. I'm surprised they don't give out the names, though, because if you challenge the speeding ticket, I'm told, I've never been caught speeding, that your name is public, like you're on the docket or whatever. So I'm surprised they can keep the names off. But it's a tough issue, Larry, as you say. It's the municipalities need funding. They need money. A lot of the downloading has come from the province and the feds and so on. But safe streets are so important. So the 2 kind of align. But to Jane's point, 30 kilometers an hour, 18 miles an hour, that's pretty low, even when school's in. Speed bump would be 100% closer to the safety factor, but no revenue. I know the people that I've heard have got caught by the cameras. They say, why don't they have flashing lights? Like, if they don't want me to drive fast, don't hide it and take the money. Put flashing lights. Let me be on my radar that I should slow down right now. So I do think the politicians should just say it out loud. This is about cash revenue. I mean, really, that's what's leading this, I feel, because they could put in speed bumps or something else if it wasn't. So
we complained years ago on the street I lived on, and the counselor got one of the this was on a post, but you can actually get the little trailer ones too. It's you are now traveling, and it's a big electronic sign, tells you how fast you're going.
Yeah.
They say those work. I've heard those really help reduce speed. I don't know that they do, but
Yeah.
There are signs as well. There are, like when I go up by Laurelwood, by the schools there are signs before the speed camera saying there are speed cameras here. So if you're looking for your signs like you're supposed to when you're driving, you will definitely see that and hopefully slow down.
Now, also, not having had a speeding ticket forever, I also gave up my car about 4 years ago, which is another story. Best thing I ever did. But when you get a speed camera ticket, your car gets the ticket, right? Because is that the way it works? They can't prove it was you driving. Could be your friend driving, but nevertheless, you got to pay, right?
Right. Whoever the registered owner is.
Yeah.
And you know what? We all do it. When we get behind the wheel, we do that automatic driving where we turn off our minds and we're just cruising along, and the foot gets faster on the heavier on the pedal. And then maybe things like speed bumps, like those kinds of flashing signs where you wake people out of that kind of driving stupor to actually pay attention to what's going on. Maybe that's the answer, but there has to be an answer too for municipal downloading, the fact that there's drying up of revenue streams, and every time someone thinks of an alternative, the province shuts it down, right? So this is another sort of example of that.
Right. We only actually have about another minute left, so I want to get your thoughts on the Blue Jays. Don't worry about jinxing anything, because I don't know that. And there he is. Bob's got the Blue Jay thing, the jersey. I don't have a jersey, but I have my T-shirt up in the background here of my little set here. So, and I'd wear it, except it doesn't fit me anymore. But anyway. Who's the biggest Blue Jay? Bob, since you have the jersey, I'll start with you. Is this the team? Can this team do it this year?
I think you said the right word, Larry. It's team. This is why I'm fully behind this. This is a team of not just the individuals. It's all the members, 26, 27 members, 28 when it's expanded rosters. They're all contributing equally, and it's so great when everyone can come together and actually play as a team, as a coach, as a convener. These are those things, those life lessons we're trying to impart into our athletes. And when when these lessons come together in a great example like the Blue Jays, how can you not cheer for them?
All right, Jane, are you watching the games this weekend? Are you cheering?
I don't really watch sports, but I have been listening, and that, and all I can say is go Jays, because I remember when they ran and won before, and it was so exciting.
It's transcending sports a little bit, that you don't even have to watch, but you can still support them and wave the flag, wear the jersey. How about you, David?
I'm 100% behind me. Can't wait. I was there for the Stanley Cup in '67. It was black and white, and that's great. I find it interesting. It's not much more than 500% they need to play. They have to win 8 games out of the next 14. So it's they can do that. And I think their biggest challenge will be in the World Series, but 1 game at a time starting Sunday.
There we go. Thank you, panel, very much. Have a great Oktoberfest weekend, and happy Thanksgiving as well to all of you. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
David Marskell, Bob Urbanek, Jane Mitchell. That's our Friday 4 panel. The 12 o'clock Talkback Hour next on 570 News Radio.
Here's special guest host, Larry Fedoruk.
And I know that, especially on Fridays, you've got a lot to say. You've had a whole week to build up all these things you want to talk about on the 12 o'clock Talkback Hour. And we're going to get to your calls in just a few minutes. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention also that the Erin Fall Fair is on this weekend, and they're celebrating a huge anniversary. And I know for a lot of people it's a tradition to go, but maybe you just didn't remember that it was on. It's this weekend. Jennifer Mitchell is the past president of the Erin Fall Fair and joins us now. Hello, Jennifer.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Wonderful. I'm great. The sun is shining for the time being, so I'm happy.
What anniversary is this of the Erin Fall Fair? Tell me.
This is the 175th anniversary of the Erin Fall Fair. So we have been going since 1850, if you can believe that.
Well, this is why I was looking at it and I'm like, is this a typo? I have to ask Jennifer, because 175 years in a row, that's older than the country of Canada.
It is. We're not the oldest fair. Williamstown Fair is the oldest, and it's over 200 years old, but we're up there. We're definitely up there.
Is that a fact? Wow. Now, you're past president, so I don't expect you to necessarily know all the history going way back, but it sure must have been a different time. That's all I'm thinking, right?
Absolutely. And sorry, I've got a lot of background noise here. I'm sitting right on Main Street outside the building because I thought it was going to be quieter than inside, but it's not.
So what's on tap this weekend? What's going on?
I think the easier question is what's not on tap. We have so much going on. We have entertainment all day, every day. Starting tonight in the Festival Gardens, Tiana Woods is playing. Tomorrow night, the Festival Gardens, we've got Off the Rock, which is the Great Big Sea tribute. And on Sunday night, we have AC/DC Tribute Canada in the Festival Gardens. Tomorrow night in the exhibits hall, we have the Good Brothers, who are still kicking after all these years and bringing fantastic music to venues across Canada. So we're really, really excited to welcome them. And then we have a whole bunch of sort of local entertainers and stuff throughout the weekend. And you can expect the typical fall fair livestock shows. There's cattle shows, horse shows, tractor pulls, truck pulls, demolition derby, all that fun stuff.
So I noticed too that bring the kids, because that's no admission for the kids. Admission, as always, very reasonable. Good for you.
Yeah, admission. So kids on 5 and under are free. Children ages 5 to 12 are $7, and adults 13 and over. I know a 13-year-old is not an adult, but 13 and over is $15.50, and that's if you purchase tickets online. If you purchase at the gate, the price does go up. Children are $8 and adults are $18. And so it is definitely, if you know you're coming, it's in your best interest to purchase online.
You can still do online, right? That's good.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Oh, your voice cut out there for a second.
I'm sorry. I was just saying you can still go online just because the fair is underway already. It doesn't mean you can't still go online.
You can still go online. Yeah, actually, you could stand out in the parking lot and purchase your tickets online and then show your phone. So I mean, it's you can still get those tickets. So, and it's erinfair.com for anyone who is looking for the website address. erinfair.com. We say Erin, you're not Erin, just to correct everyone who's thinking Erin. It's Erin.
Well, that's me too, and I apologize. Erin Fair. I should know
right.
that. I don't know why. I don't know why I did, but Erin Fair. And now, no pets. I know you guys love pets, but I'm just curious about that. What's the thought behind that?
So we have had over the years one too many close calls with dogs. I know everybody loves their dogs, but livestock and dogs do not mix. And we've had dogs barking at cattle and cattle freaking out. And people don't respect, like we do have rules. Like the health unit says we cannot have animals in any of the buildings where there is food. And people don't understand. That's not our rule. That is the health unit saying that. And so if they came in and they caught an animal that was not a service animal in our exhibits hall, they could shut us down. Easy as that. Say, that's it, you're done. So we do have to abide by those rules. And unfortunately, not all pet owners are great pet owners. And they will bring dogs that should not be near the public. And like I said, we've had some very near bite cases, and you know, we're all volunteers and it would be our liability, right? So we can't take that risk anymore.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I agree with it. I just wanted people to know, just in case they don't know, it's no pets allowed at the Erin Fair. So
yeah,
I think that is fair, so to speak. Pardon the expression. Yeah. Now, just generally, you've got rides, you've got vendors, you've got food. There's just lots to kind of see and do.
Yeah, absolutely. We have Robertson Amusements as our midway provider, and they are, I would say, they're the top of the class in terms of in midway. We've got the drop zone, we've got the Ferris wheel. We were without the Ferris wheel because they had to get a new one a few years ago, and so the Ferris wheel is back. Lots of exciting rides, lots of games, something for everybody. If you just want to do the midway, you could do the midway all day, but there's so much going on. There's never a dull moment, I would say.
Now, on the website here, it says Saturday, Sunday free rides.
Yes, I believe that's from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Every morning, 11, Saturday and Sunday morning. Yeah, the rides are free. So if you want to come to the fair early and get some free rides in, join us and save a little bit of money. But I know kids aren't going to just want to go on rides for an hour. Unfortunately, right. Parents, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, for sure. And it's been good so far. I mean, you kind of get things going Thursdays, I think, with your tuning night there. So you've been You've been going for a bit here. So far, so good?
So far, so good. Yeah, everything really gets officially underway tonight. What's happening right now in the exhibits hall is the judging is happening. All of the homecraft exhibits, the judges are in there hard at work doing their placings and stuff. And so the hall will open later tonight. And everybody will be able to come in and see if they've won. I've entered some watercolor art, so fingers crossed that I might see a red ribbon on some of my work. Who knows? It's stiff competition, though. I mean, tons and tons of stuff in there in the exhibits hall to see.
Gee, on that, Jennifer, may I say, my mom was quite the artist, and she tried to teach me how to do watercolor years ago, and I dabbled in it a bit. Watercolor, kudos to you, because watercolor is the hardest, I think, to really work.
It is very hard, yes. It's very tedious, and it's kind of backwards to any other kind of art. Like you really have to think and plan about how you're going to do your pieces. And so I've been doing it for a few years now, and I think I'm starting to get the hang of it.
Well, congratulations to you and everybody in the region, because like I said, I had to double check with you. 175 years. That's just
175 years. Yeah.
Incredible that this has been going and still going. And what a weekend it's going to be.
Yeah.
Jennifer, all the best. Thank you for your time. Anything else? I hope I didn't miss anything there. Did I miss something?
No, I don't think so. Just say there is shuttles. If parking is very limited around the fairgrounds, and so if people want to get here, there is a number of shuttle stops around town, and so there's a shuttle that's running constantly. So I would recommend finding those shuttle parkings. You can find all that information at erinfair.com. It just make your life a lot easier than trying to circle the fairgrounds and find parking, because you're probably not going to find it. But 175 years. I'm so proud to be part of this fair family. I've been involved for at least 36 years when I started showing my 4-H calf, and was fair ambassador in 1994, president in 2013. And so the fair has been a part of my family tradition and Thanksgiving tradition. And I invite everyone else out there listening, make it a part of your Thanksgiving tradition as well, because it's one of the best fairs in Ontario.
Oh my gosh. And just to be a part of history. I'll bet 175 years ago, parking wasn't as big an issue. I'm just guessing.
I don't think so.
But anyway, it is. But it is this year. But you've taken care of it with the shuttle. Terrific. All the best. Have a great weekend, and good luck in that art competition. Jennifer Mitchell, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Jennifer
Bye-bye.
Mitchell is a past president, and I would say head cheerleader right now, great spokesperson for the Erin Fall Fair. I think I've always kind of slipped and called it Erin over the years. So my apologies for that to everybody in the Erin area. But everyone's, because it's ERIN, Erin Mills, Erin
Yep.
this, Erin that. So everybody slips on that. But anyway, it's the Erin Fall Fair and erinfair.com. Go to the website. You can get all kinds of information there on who's there. Just some great bands coming up, some great music. No pets, please. Okay. I think that's more than fair. The shuttle for the park, everything. They've thought of it all. So there you go. Something else to do on this most wonderful fall weekend here in the region. So just a great time. Just a great time. All right. We're going to return in moments here with our 12 o'clock Talkback Hour. I'm always pleased when somebody calls with something that's kind of not been on the radar all week, and many things have. Controversial, newsworthy, all the kind of stuff, both locally and even internationally this year with the situation in the Middle East. There's just so much going on. So if you want to talk about any of those things, absolutely. But again, I'll throw it open to you during the 12 o'clock Talkback Hour. It's whatever you want to talk about. And as I said, I always like it when somebody comes up with something that's on their mind that's like, gee, I didn't think of that. Okay, thanks for calling. So if you haven't got the numbers handy, you should program them into the phone, 519-570-2545. That's 519-570-2545, 1-800-570-5715 if you're not calling out of the region, and star 570 on your cell. Your thoughts, your calls, the 12 o'clock Talkback Hour when we return here on 570 News Radio.
Take out the papers and the trash, or you don't get no spending cash. If you don't scrub that kitchen floor, you ain't gonna rock and roll no more. Yakety yak.
Don't talk back.
Just finish cleaning up.
You can't talk back. It's the 12 o'clock Talkback Hour. I'm Larry Fedoruk in for Mike Farwell. Give us a call, whatever you want to talk about, 519-570-2545, 1-800-570-5715, and star 570 on your cell. Here's Paul. Paul, go ahead. You're up on the 12 o'clock Talkback Hour.
Hey, you said you wanted something a little different. This might be a little too controversial.
Well, if you got it, let's hear it.
Okay, a couple of weeks, we've got Halloween coming up, and of course the Halloween costumes are already on the shelves at the various big box stores and whatnot, and I'm sure that shortly as the Halloween costumes come out, people will start talking about cultural appropriation. Is this Halloween costume suitable, or is this appropriating somebody else's culture? It seems to happen pretty regular these past few years. Everybody's complaining, oh, you can't dress up in this because it offends one segment of society. You can't dress up as that; it offends another segment of society. Would you agree that that seems to be the way things are going these days?
I would agree with that. Absolutely, it's going in that direction. I don't always have a problem with it because if a group like Aboriginals or Indigenous peoples go, please don't dress like an Indian, like an American Indian,
yep,
then I would go, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know that offended you. I don't have to do that.
Yeah, we've got sports teams where the names are being changed because for that exact reason.
But I don't mind that. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah. Okay. So now here in Kitchener, in the last few minutes, I believe they were tapping the keg. Okay. And what is that all about? Oktoberfest. Is that not cultural appropriation of a German culture?
Well, no, because if you know, Kitchener used to be called Berlin.
Exactly.
But I mean, it's the German heritage. There's a difference between honoring a heritage and appropriating a culture. Okay, Oktoberfest is honoring a heritage.
You don't think all these people running around that are, Scottish, English, who knows what nationality, wearing lederhosen and whatnot? Is that not cultural appropriation as well?
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Why isn't it? What is the difference there?
Because the German people are saying, we don't mind if you wear lederhosen. A Scottish person will mind if you wear a kilt if you're not a Scottish person, and an Indian person would mind if you wear a sari if you're not Indian. It's who minds. It's not who does it. It's who actually minds. In the German culture,
if one German person says, "Hey, wait a minute, you're expropriating our culture." Oktoberfest is a celebration that was held in Munich, not in Kitchener. Okay, if one person, how many people would have to say this is wrong before you say, well, okay, we're going to stop doing Oktoberfest?
The majority.
The majority or a vocal minority?
The majority would have to say, stop doing that.
Why the majority? Why not a vocal minority? We do it for everything
because
else.
Majority rules. That's how we decide things. The majority rules. It's the greater good.
That doesn't seem to be the way things go now. It seems to be the minority makes this decision that this is offensive to me and I want it stopped.
No, I don't agree with you, Paul. I don't think the minority, if a minority group says this is offensive to us, but everybody in the minority says it, then they are a majority of the minority. I'm sorry, I'm getting it a little twisted here, but you know what I'm saying? If the whole group says, yeah, don't do that, please, then
I don't know. There seems to be a double standard on
what does it pain you to stop? What does it pain you to not offend somebody? If somebody said, I'm offended, why is it so difficult for you to do something that doesn't offend somebody?
You got me a little confused there. I'm not sure what you're asking.
I think so. I think I do, Paul, because you said why is the minority speaking for the majority? Because the minority said, I'm offended. And why won't you then stop doing the offensive thing? Why won't you stop doing it if they say to you, I'm offended, even if it's just one person?
So we need to know how many people have to be offended before it becomes woke. Why? When do we have to change it? At what point?
Well, I think you make that decision individually, but I say if the majority of Germans said, please don't wear lederhosen during Oktoberfest, then I would say, yeah, that's fine. If one German guy said, I don't like it, I would go, look at all your other German friends. They don't mind it. I don't know. That's where Paul, I'm only moving on for time because I want to get other stuff on.
One more quick question then. What if a Jewish person said, based on what happened in the First World War, Second World War, I'm offended that we're celebrating the German culture in Kitchener. Then how do we react to that? And the other thing I'd like to know is, when we had the opening ceremonies, did they have their land acknowledgement?
I don't know. I don't know, Paul. I think you're looking for a scrap. That's the best I can do. I'm going to move on. Paul, thanks. Francis, go ahead, please. Francis, you're on 570 News Radio.
I'm not here to argue. Anyway,
I don't mind. I'm just like, wow.
Talking about speed cameras. Yeah, they say it saves lives. Well, then let's put the speed cameras where they can actually save lives. Like I'm not against schools. If they're running when the schools are running maybe half an hour before or after. My thing is, you look at Highway 86, 85, 8, and 7, especially Highway 86, 85. There's been a number of, I call it killings by insane drivers. And if you want to save lives, two things. Put the odd camera out around those different areas, and then you put for controlling traffic. A real way to do it is put some marks in the road that shows, I don't know, 1 kilometer or 2 from this point to that point, and have aircraft patrolling it. They don't have to be there all the time, but I'm sure it would save a lot of lives. I personally had people, a big tanker in front of me on Highway 86, and another huge truck come up behind. I couldn't even see his license plate, and I looked down at my speed limit, and I was doing 95, which is against the speed limit. But I didn't want to get crammed in between because I couldn't go left because there could be a buggy. If I pulled out to the right, I could have gotten nailed. So, like I say, have airplane control and get rid of some of the people that are killing other people. We just had a couple just outside of Listowel this past week in their middle 70s. And I'm sure it was just because of speed. So on top of that, let's all have a great Thanksgiving, and God bless us all and give us a brain. Thank you.
Francis, good wrap up there on that call. More of your calls on 570 News Radio coming up in a moment.
70 News Radio.
Here's special guest host, Larry Fedorik.
More of your calls on the 12 o'clock Talkback Hour. I want to see who's been holding the longest. I think it might be Grant. Let's go to Grant next. Grant, go ahead. You're on 570 News Radio.
Yeah, I hope your son didn't wash that jersey that he got from the 93 World Series because it's not going to be worth anything now. And I remember when I went to a lot of these collectible shows, I bought these World Series Coke cans, and my brother decided, well, I'm thirsty. I'm going to open them up. And I said, you can't do. Yeah, I said, you can't do that. Why? They're sitting there. Yeah, but they're not going to be worth anything now. Oh, yeah. So I think I spent maybe $10 for one can from the 93 World Series. Yeah. Yeah, and when you mentioned a while ago, a couple of days ago, about with this other caller saying, why do the players, after they out of the bars back, Oh, the batter's box.
The batter's box. Is this the one where they give the pitcher a big stare? Yeah. What about that?
Yeah, I didn't realize that until I looked at it. Yeah, I think I would be the same way as a batter. I'm going to psych this guy out because when I come up next, he's going down. Right? That's it.
Yeah. I thanks for the call, Grant. Yeah, I think and I said the other day when we were talking about that it's a bit of a head game there, mind game, that you're playing when you're out there. Outpsych the other guy. Here's Mark. Mark, go ahead. You're on the 12 o'clock Talkback Hour.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of a laugh for you for the weekend.
All right.
I was driving yesterday about 1:30 in the afternoon down Keats Way, and they have a 30-kilometer limit there by the school. And so I'm just casually driving down. All of a sudden, on the right-hand side in the bike lane, a guy on a motorized scooter goes past me. And then within about 15 seconds of that, a guy who thought he was in the Tour de France on a bicycle goes by me. So anyway, they can't catch the bicycle, they can't catch the scooter, but they can catch me.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah,
all
that's my
vehicular
point.
traffic. This is the speed limit. It should all be, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Anyway, that's just my point.
Thanks, Mark. It's a good call. Here's Brenda. Brenda, you're next here on our 12 o'clock news Talkback Hour.
Good afternoon.
Hey, Brenda.
Hello.
Hello, Brenda. Go ahead.
Well, I'm pure German on both sides. My ancestors escaped East Berlin and came over when it was Berlin. And I'm proud of my German heritage, and I'm proud that we do celebrate Oktoberfest here because of the multiple German immigrants that came over, made Kitchener for what it is today. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. This is going back to Paul's call. I didn't get where Paul was coming from at all. I mean, isn't this Canada? Isn't this the mosaic? The German people have an Oktoberfest and they invite everybody to come. That the Ukrainians have a Ukrainian festival and invite everybody to come. That the Sikhs hold a parade and a festival and everybody comes. And isn't that the idea of it in a way? Alex, go ahead. You're next here on 570 News Radio.
Yeah, speaking of free speech and whatnot, which we don't really have in this country, but I wanted to bring up three bills that are bouncing around Ottawa right now, which is not being talked about in the media, and it bloody well should be. The first one is Bill C-8, which will give the government the power to ban individual citizens from using the internet. Bill C-2, which will allow them to open your mail without a warrant, and it will make it illegal to spend or give cash $10,000 or more. Bill C-63 makes it up to life imprisonment for speech crimes. Those are three bills that are bouncing around right now. Now, I've noticed that the media, the mainstream media in Canada, is not talking about it at all. And I wasn't sure why, and I was going to ask you that question until I heard your conversation earlier with another caller, where basically, for lack of a better term, you seem to agree with all this stuff. Because you said offensive speech, why do it? Offensive speech is free speech. If I offend
No, it's
you,
not.
Yes,
No, it's not.
You don't believe in free speech.
No, it's not. Alex,
You
it's
do
not.
not believe in free speech, sir. Don't ever say you do, because you do not. You do not believe in free speech. You believe in speech you like. That's not free speech.
No, read the definition of free speech in the
We
Charter
don't
of
have one
Rights.
here, sir. The American is the only country that has free speech laws. And
We have free
actually
speech
do.
in the
Yes,
Charter
they do,
of
sir.
Rights, Alex.
Don't
Read
lie
the
to your
Charter
audience.
of Rights.
Don't lie to your audience, sir. We do not have that here.
It's
You
in the
United
Charter
States
of Rights,
limits on
Alex.
free speech,
Alex, it's
or
in
you
the
can't-
Charter of Rights.
What does it say?
I don't have it in front of me, but I've read it recently in the Charter of Rights.
Well, what
And it
does it
says
roughly
that
say
we
then?
have free speech but you cannot, the freedom of expression cannot be threatened by any government agencies, and you can't suffer fear of retaliation or punishment or censorship from any government agencies. That doesn't mean you can't tell me to shut up, but the police can't tell me to shut up unless I'm inciting hatred or I'm defaming people. Then I can't do it.
Have you ever watched a Human Rights Commission? Have you ever watched a Human Rights Commission trial? They did.
I don't know. Have you?
Ezra Levant was another fellow that they got hauled in front of him because they published some cartoons they didn't like. You are lying to your audience, sir, and you should stop doing that.
You're citing Ezra Levant to me when it comes to free speech. Are you serious?
I watched his trial, sir. It was the
good
most
for you. I'm glad you're a fan. I'm glad you're a fan.
I don't care if I hate the man's guts. I grew up where I despise with my full being every word you just said, but I will defend to my death your right to say it. That's the Canada I grew up in, sir.
That's
never
been the case.
It.
Alex, that's never been the case. Never been the case. You can't just defend anything anybody says.
Sir.
You can't do that. That's not what free speech is. Free speech is not this right where you just say anything you want.
That's the very definition of it. Without free speech, you don't have freedom.
Yeah,
That's
but
the number one thing
free speech to you is Ezra Levant and being able to say any stupid, dumb, offensive thing you want, hateful thing you want.
Correct,
that's
sir.
not it at all.
That is the definition of free speech.
No, it's not.
It is so.
Read the Charter of Rights, for gosh sakes.
I said from the beginning, we do not have the right to free speech in this.
And I disagree with you wholeheartedly. We absolutely have it. It's in the Charter, man.
Free speech. That's the only one that counts.
I think you said because we don't have it to instigate. That's what I think the reason you said it, because we do have it and it's in the Charter of Rights.
If you can't say whatever you want, you don't have free speech.
No, that's
as simple as that, sir. And
so I can defame you and incite hatred and tell people to do bad things to you, and that's my freedom of speech? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Oh, my God. That's the definition. The definition of what is not free speech is you can't incite violence against an individual or a group. That is not free speech. You incite violence against an individual or group. You can't libel or slander someone. If you do, you can be sued. Those are the three exceptions to free speech. Nothing else.
And that's what we have. That's exactly what we have in this country.
We have hate speech laws, sir.
Yeah, because you can't incite hatred.
Well, what's inciting hatred? I don't like people with purple hair. Is that inciting hatred against
I didn't say
people with purple hair?
don't like something is different than inciting hatred towards an individual or a group of people.
Everyone should hate people with purple hair.
All right,
is that hate speech?
Fine. Yeah, that's inciting. You're inciting hatred. That you shouldn't be allowed to say that, in my opinion.
Oh my God, man. Yeah. Oh my God. I thought Mike was bad. Oh my God, you're worse.
I thought you're worse. How's that? If you want to go back and forth like two kids in a schoolyard here, name calling, then go ahead.
Well, because free speech is a cornerstone of Western civilization. Without it, we don't have it. And people
by your definition, free speech, not by the definition of people who have studied free speech over centuries and who started an entire nation based on it. And you come along and go, no, that's not what it is, because Alex doesn't agree with the definition of free speech, then we don't have it. It's
the American Constitution version. That is the one and only version that matters. We don't have it.
See how well the Constitution is working right now for Americans. See how well, because you know what they did with the Constitution? They amended it 23 times for various reasons.
That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
By the will of the people. That's correct.
So how can you cite a Constitution that was flawed in the first place? Free speech isn't even in the Constitution. When they wrote the Constitution, they didn't even put free speech in there. They had to amend it. That was the first amendment to the Constitution.
Oh, you don't.
And the second one is the right to bear arms because they didn't like the free speech they were hearing.
Oh my God!
So they gave everybody a right for guns.
How did you ever get a radio show?
Have you read?
How did I ever let you call a radio show?
Have you ever?
How did I ever let you call a radio show?
Well, most times people.
How
like
are you
won't
even
let me call.
allowed?
You won't let me call because you don't like my speech. See, you don't like free speech.
I don't like your speech, and you think the radio station has to give you free speech? Is that what you think?
Absolutely not. Absolutely
No,
not.
they
I'm
don't.
just surprised they put someone like you on the radio.
I'm
because
surprised
you don't
that
believe in free speech.
I'm surprised that someone like me put someone like you on the radio.
Well, I've been calling this radio station for damn near 30 years, so.
Well, good for you.
I've been invited on that radio station, sir. Because unlike you, the other people that used to host the show believed in free speech.
Right.
You do not.
Fine. Are you done? I guess he's done. This is 570 News Radio. See what I mean about Fridays? Isn't it fantastic? Back with more in a moment. Larry Fedoruk in for Mike Farwell. Your thoughts, your calls, your opinions on the 12 o'clock Talkback Hour. Here's George. George, go ahead. You're next on 570 News Radio.
Hi. Changing the topic back to baseball. I've been hearing about the batter staring down the pitcher.
Yes, sir.
I don't believe that's the case. I believe it may look like that on TV, but I think they're looking at the big screen at the back in the outfield. They're admiring their pitches, or they're seeing if they're really strikes, similar to how hockey players are always looking up at center ice at the screen there.
You know what, George? That's a great point. I think that's probably exactly what they're doing. You're right. Yeah, because they want to see that replay. They want it. Yeah.
It's a little bit farther down for them than hockey players, so they're kind of, maybe it looks like they're looking at the pitcher, but they're probably looking just over their heads.
Right. I bet you that's it. Good point. Hey, thanks for that call, man. I appreciate that. Here's Andre. Andre, go ahead.
Hello, Larry. Good afternoon. Good Friday.
Hey, man.
So, yeah, thank you very much for filling in for Mike and being there like usual. I know Norm. I think Mike. I don't know. Did Mike take his that button that he has there? That only button he has control of, hanging up on people. You did fantastic.
See, I do the show from home, so I don't have that button.
Oh no!
I wouldn't have used it anyway. At some point, I mean, the only reason I had to go was really, we do have to break occasionally here for important things.
You got your opinion. He's got his. You let him be. I do have to say on one thing is, I do believe back in my days, I'm going to be 57, and a free speech means pretty much anything. To me, that's my opinion, right? And that's the way I've been brought up, and it's not hurtful. But I know nowadays words are hurtful, so there's a dilemma there. But anyway, Larry, I want to call because the Rangers. Last time I heard, today, Yosiokas, I think it was today, saying that we need to score more and stuff like that. So 3-0, it shows, and he's going to do some changes. But Tanner Lamb, my boy, come on now, give me one.
All right.
Go Rangers. And Mike, you're doing fantastic, and just don't go nuts out there. Don't drive.
All right, man. Thank you, Andre. Go Rangers, go. We can all agree on that. Here's Grant. Grant, go ahead.
Yeah, mine's going to be very simple. I've always thought freedom of speech is speaking your mind, but watching of how you word it, right? You don't want to come off threatening. You don't want to be swearing. You want to kind of make your point across. Same way with that guy. I can't remember when it was, but it was during, I think, close to the the Canadian elections or something like that, where a guy, a spectator, mouthed off to this guy, and then the speaker said afterwards, "What did you say to me?" And I can't remember what he said, but that guy was this guy that you just had on before the break. My goodness gracious, he sounds pretty heavy duty, and I'm surprised. Or maybe next time he calls in, maybe the radio station will ban him, because kind of what he said to you. Well, I'm surprised they allowed you to do this.
Well, okay, Grant, I have to go here because who knows? Maybe he is calling back. I don't know. Mark, is this Mark or Mark? Mark?
Hello, Larry.
Hey.
Hi, Larry. You there?
Is this the same Mark? Is it a different Mark? I can't tell.
Larry.
Yes.
You're there?
Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Just want to say sorry you had to listen to that previous caller. I'm going to say, Larry, you were a great host on the show, and I can't wait to have you back, okay?
All right, man. Thank you very much. This is a different Mark. I think the other guy was Mark, wasn't it? I've already forgotten. My apologies. Well, that was very nice, and it's not even that, and it got a bit heated, which is, I guess, fun for. It's never been, when people get into heated arguments on talk radio, I've never found that. I know what happens, but I've never found it interesting to listen to people just argue vehemently with each other. I've always been averse to that. And I know I did it with the caller, but I mean, it was about free speech. And all I was saying, and I don't want to resurrect the whole debate again, because frankly, even if you do a call back right now, we're out of time. And if we have free speech, we don't have free time. We're against the clock here. So let me just say in closing that my real point was that there is a definite definition that I happen to agree with for free speech in our Charter of Rights. And I'll just say, well, I was going to get into a whole thing here. I won't, because I already said it minutes ago. Freedom of speech is a right in this country, and like any right, it's also a responsibility. So is that, I don't mean to be cryptic, but I'm just going to stop it there. Go Rangers, go. Enjoy the Erin Fall Fair. Enjoy Oktoberfest. Go Jays, go. Happy Thanksgiving. Larry Fedora again for Mike Farwell. Thank you for having me on this week. We'll talk soon.